This podcast is brought to you by the following
Why don't you go like
sponsors.
this and have lightning come from your hands? Yeah.
I'll just do this.
Effects.
Finishers MMA is located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA, Lehigh Valley's home for 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. The amount of people that they have over there instructing is insane. They have J.M. Holland, John Thor Blanks opening up 10th Planet Allentown, Zach Meslaney, Grace Gundrum. It is elite teaching over there. They teach self-defense, no-gi jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing. They have a kids martial arts program that is building and growing, and Grace is teaching every single kids class. Get over there. They are the biggest killers in the game. That's 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Do you have anything to interject?
You didn't let me talk. I don't know.
No, I would like trying to get quicker on that. But they have multiple schools, and it's www.finishersmma.com. That has their schedule on there, and it has when they rotate everything. And they have evening classes because if you work and you can't get there, they even have, I think, an 8 o'clock class on Wednesday.
The thing I like the best is that they treat people with respect. It's not like one of those weird places you go and they talk down to you and, you know, like I'm a big bad sensei kind of crap.
No, not at all.
They're super cool guys. Everybody that goes there is nice. Everybody's friendly. It's just a wonderful place to go and learn jiu-jitsu. Wonderful place to go learn choke people.
Yeah.
Just go choke some people.
Every time I've been over there, and I get a little intimidated sometimes going into classes like that, even like going to the gym or like the Y, I get a little uncomfortable, and they make you feel at home there. Super professional. The guys have been doing it for a while. Zach, JM, and Thor all have their black belts. So
and they have crazy top-notch equipment. Everything is awesome. It's not some...
Yep. Every now and then they do
awesome. It's an awesome place.
Seminars and stuff there too. So check it out. It's finishersmma.com, and they are located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Their social media is everywhere, so you can go find them. And thank you guys for being a sponsor. Taylor Edge Wood Company. Drew Hoagland. They make handmade and local crafting and bringing you gorgeous custom wood design. If you're looking for a custom table, nightstand, countertop, and more, they can help you. Drew made this table and that desk. A lot of people always have asked us who did this, and it was Taylor Edge Wood Company. Their social media you can find is Taylor Edge Wood Co. on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram has a lot of the pictures and stuff. That's the best place to follow them. They just got the website up. It should be running by the time this airs, but that's tayloredgewoodco.com, and he's going to have cutting boards on there. Their T-shirts are really cool. I know they're doing fall shirts for that, and he's just a stand-up guy. He's done nothing but help the show since day one and has really ultimate crafting.
Yeah, if you're looking to get something different for your home and you don't want to have the same boring home with the same boring box store, stupid tables that are particle board that are wrapped in crappy vinyl stuff, check him out. He'll come and give you an estimate, let you pick out whatever you want. He's a crazy nut for black walnut, and he loves the stuff, the smell
He's
of it.
Obsessed with
crazy.
it.
It's a little awkward, but he's very very talented. And like I said, if you want something custom and nothing says that you're cool, then I have a damn custom table and you don't.
Yeah, and you get professional quotes, and he's also got that he's going to be having that on the website where you'll be able to get quotes off of there. So if you're looking for top-notch,
locally sourced.
Yeah, everything's out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, support local people.
Yeah, so hit them up. You can hit up tayloredgewoodco@gmail.com for any inquiries on what you need. Instagram's a good way to get a hold of him, and he runs it with his wife, so they're super local to us, and they helped us out since the beginning. So please go check them out, and thank you for being a sponsor.
All right, our next sponsor is All Valley Rooter and Plumbing.
Jared LaBarba. I've been friends with Jared for almost my entire life, and he came down to the studio looking to sponsor, and we had a long conversation, and he wanted help building in the Nazareth area. He has a lot of work in the Lehigh Valley, but he specifically wanted to get into Nazareth, and we have a really big reach in Nazareth. It's not a big place, but we do have bigger reach than anyone else here.
We control the whole
We
town.
own Nazareth. But Jared went through his whole story and told me everything he's doing, and his plumbing is top notch. Yes. They do faucet repair, sub pump replacement, sink installation, pipe installation, leaks, toilet repair, and more. They have 24-hour service, 365 days a year. They charge by the job, not the hour. All services come with a 1-year warranty and guarantee. He's going to be our plumber from now on if we have any problems with the sink and whatnot. Yeah. Having plumbing issues is probably one of the biggest headaches ever.
It's one of those things that if something goes bad with your plumbing, it's really bad. There is no minor plumbing issue. And it's good to have someone that's local that you can call, that you know, and say, hey, I really need your help, as opposed to some guy that he's going to spend, he's going to take 3 hours to get there and he's going to show up. He's going to overcharge you. It's just not worth it. Go with a local guy, super professional. He can do everything you really want. He lists a bunch of stuff there, but I'm pretty sure he can do pretty much everything involving plumbing. So I'm just going to call him for everything. So. Whatever.
Yeah, and you have 2 properties that you can use them for now, too, because you didn't have a good experience.
No, they were horrible.
I wish you would say who it was.
I really hate that.
His website is allvalleyrouter.net, and that is the place where you're going to find all of the information you need to get a hold of Jared if you have any plumbing issues, or if you're just trying to get quotes for stuff. But they are 365 days a year. They are open 24 hours, and we want to thank him for being one of our first sponsors on the show. It means a lot, and all you Nazareth peeps or anybody in the Lehigh Valley who wants a trusted, reliable, professional plumber, please contact Jared.
And our next sponsor is Rips Auto Detail. I love this guy. Go ahead.
One of my favorite guests on the show.
Cool. He's a really nice guy. He's a very good DJ also, by the way.
Yes, and he's super professional at his job. He's got over 15 years of experience. He's located at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He does paint correction, ceramic coating, interior, and pro auto detail. If you follow him on Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, it's insane what this guy actually does with a car.
I am recommending that you go to Popeyes, which is right up the street, and you put fingerprints all over your vehicle, and then you go there, and he will make it perfect again.
Yeah, he's got 15 years of experience. He's got a package for everyone. What he stressed on the show is that he doesn't just do super high-end vehicles. Yep. He can do anything from, if you just have a daily driver and you just like having a clean car, you can get that done, all the way up to getting a boat done.
Yeah, well, it's worth it because I had my SUV detailed last year, actually, just because, especially when you live around here with the salt and everything else, if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will keep your car looking better than dealing with all the salt, because you keep going for car washes and stuff. That's not good. So if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will help all that stuff. So it basically winterizes your thing. And plus, when it gets nice out, you just go there and get it, just touched up a little bit, get it, refreshed, and you have a car that doesn't look like you're a slob.
You can contact him directly on Instagram, and that's at Rips Auto Detail, or you can call him at 484-553-1366. If you really want to know what this guy does, check out our past podcast with him. It's got a boatload of information. I didn't know, I knew he was good at what he was doing, and he opened his own business and all that, but to hear the story of how he got to where he's at and the 15 years experience, he's a super pro. He's a really great guy. Just go check out his stuff at Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, Facebook, and his website is coming soon. So go check him out, and he's one of our first sponsors as well. And we couldn't do the show without all these people, so I want to thank everyone. And shout out to Rips Auto Detail, and give him a follow.
And he gives you a free bucket of chicken.
No, he does not.
He's from Popeyes, says he does. Put that in there.
He didn't even like Popeyes.
Rips, you need to give out free chicken. Thank you.
Check out what he's doing on social media, and we won't use that part. And then we'll end it with, this is a professional Class A operation. Check out the podcast we did with him.
Our next sponsor is Luke Delmeyer Custom Knives. If you've ever wanted a custom knife, say a chef knife, say a camp knife, say any kind of cool custom knives, I'm sure any of you guys have watched Forge and Fire or whatever, this guy actually does that. He makes wonderful, crazy knives. He's leaps and bounds above anybody you're going to have around here. He's a good dude. You can contact him and give him basic parameters of what you want to make for our custom knives. He does sell his own knives on his website.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different knives on the website and his Instagram as well.
Instagram, he puts it up a little bit, and he'll say, hey, man, I'm selling this. His website's lukedelmeyer.com. Yeah, I mean, he lists a bunch of stuff. Like I said, you can ask for the custom stuff. He's starting a new line, which you can talk about, of the chef knives.
Yeah, the chef knife that he brought over to the studio was incredible because he showed me the demo one that they started with that he made out of a leaf spring, which is insane. But then what he handed off to me, I immediately just wanted to start prepping and cutting onions.
You were trying to.
I was excited to cook, and that's what a chef knife should do. And if
you
you're
just kept telling him you wanted to use it to cut something.
I did. And if you're looking for a chef knife or any sort of custom knives that you would like in your life for whatever reason, this guy, the amount of work that he's putting behind it, the craftsmanship that's behind his actual craft with blacksmithing, the dude's extremely talented, extremely humble, and please go check out his social media, and it's Luke Delmeyer at Instagram. That's where you're going to get a lot of his knives. He's testing the knives.
But you forgot the coolest part.
What's that?
You want to make your own knife?
Yeah.
He's got classes.
Yeah. That's right.
He has his own classes. You can go there, look like an idiot, because that's what I'll probably look like when I do mine. But you can go there, and he offers classes and teaches you how to make a knife. And I think that's awesome because there is no one and nowhere in this area that does that.
No. And if you're looking for a custom knife of any range, whether it's something that you're just looking for hiking, or if you're looking for a chef knife, or you're just looking to collect something as a hobby, go check out his social media, check out his webpage, get in touch with him, and see which knife is right for you. And that's lukedelmeyer.com. And thank you for being a sponsor. PMR, Precision Maintenance Repair. Precision Maintenance Repair is owned and operated by Doug Silstra. He's a longtime friend of mine and recently moved back to the area and reached out about sponsoring the show. So I'm going to give you some information on Precision Maintenance Repair. It's a mobile RV service that he's been doing for a really long time. He's extremely skilled and qualified in it. He's been in the industry for over 22 years, and he started his own business. So I'm going to give you some information on it. PMR has been working in the RV industry for over 22 years and has the experience and factory training in all areas of RV service and parts. They provide convenient on-site mobile RV repair services to Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, PA, East Stroudsburg, and the Poconos and surrounding areas. They repair all makes and models of RVs, fifth wheels, toy haulers, truck campers, travel trailers, vans, conversions, pop-ups, horse trailers, boat trailers, utility trailers, and more. All conveniently at your location. So they will travel out to you, and Doug will completely fix everything on site. He does some of the on-site services include electrical, appliance repair, refrigerator service, water heaters, furnaces, roof, basement, air conditioners, generators, RV, bodywork, plumbing, hitches, tow bars, bearing, packs, axles, travel services, electric and surge back services, generators, hitch installation, tow installations, and more. If you are looking for anyone to fix your RV, he will come to you. It's Precision Maintenance Repair, and it's call or text, and that's 484-387-0048, and that's 484-387-0048 for on-site RV service today. You can also find them on RVRepairProLV.com. That's RVRepairProLV.com. Reach out, get a hold of Doug, and I'd like to see his business grow. It's exciting having friends that have businesses, and then when they want to be a part of the show, I try and do my best effort to help them grow. So give Doug a follow, check out his online, and if you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up directly or reach out to Doug. But thanks for sponsoring the show.
Now, there's people coming.
Hey, if he's not going to do it.
Yeah, fucker.
All right, audio's good?
Yep.
Never Again Radio, episode 31. That went smooth. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you?
Do well, man. How are you?
Good. M New turned me on to you, and then I started following you, not in real life, on social media.
Fucking creep.
I've been seeing you everywhere.
I watched you in the bathroom.
I went through your garbage.
I thought you looked familiar.
And I noticed you were doing clothing. A lot of what you're into crosses over into what my interests are, and I was just like, I really want to interview him. And then the more I followed you, I was just excited to see all the stuff you're doing. What is Balloons, and where did it begin?
So I guess the easiest way to explain it is we started off the actual company itself as a way to just kind of push our friends to do like more of their creative stuff. So I had been working the 9 to 5 that I mentioned earlier. I was just kind of getting bored as fuck. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
There are no restrictions.
That's like the first question I feel like I got.
Fuck you, FCC.
All right, confirmed.
Fine us for that shit.
It's not a local public television.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
there is one like that. We hate those fucking people. Coronavirus, fuck them.
the 9 to 5 just wasn't really doing it for me. So I was trying to tap back into like the creative energy that I've always had like with like inside myself. So I was wow, I can't talk. I was inherently a creative person my whole life. So when I was kind of falling into this job, I noticed that I was kind of losing that.
Oh,
and
it kills
it.
it.
Yeah, it was kind of pissing me off, and it wasn't very fulfilling for me. So I started picking out some of my buddies that that were doing stuff like either making music or doing stuff like this or clothing or whatever the case may be. And I just kind of built up like a team of these people, and just said, dude, let's just support each other, share it. Like social media is a really powerful tool. Let's use it and just support each other, right? That's how it started. That stuff wasn't actually verbalized, but it was how it kind of just came together. But the actual balloons themselves, the idea was I wanted a reminder for myself to fall back into the hobbies and things that I really liked as a kid, which is where the actual balloons came from.
Yeah.
So it's just a simple reminder to just do those things that I always enjoyed doing prior to being, quote unquote grown up.
Yeah.
And then that's how we just kind of kept snowballing. So then we decided, we started making the clothing and stuff, and we started going to these venues and meeting all these people, and people that are following their dreams, and people that are doing the music, and people that are doing art, and all these things that that I consider like a creative outlet. And I just push people to keep fucking doing them because it's cool.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things to do is to push people. Because it's funny how the reaction is where it's like I'll talk to someone and be like, they're like really into like interior design, and then they're like complaining about their job all the time, and I'm like, yeah, well, like you can just focus on interior design, and then eventually you could just do interior design.
Yeah, right.
And then they just look at you like, and I'm just like, no, it's what I did.
There's a ton of people that I have that conversation with. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds pretty like generic. It's not like some groundbreaking idea, like write a few things down and do them. But that shit goes a long way.
It's how I get through every day is writing shit down and then like having it organized and tackling it. And like, I feel like it starts out as like soul searching and like wanting to not be, there's people that can do a 9 to 5 and then they just either enjoy a 9 to 5 or they find time to do other things. And then I feel like in my position, I've never been able to not want to create. Like I would be stuck somewhere and I'd be like, oh, and then you start getting miserable. Then you hate your job. And then it's like, then depression kicks in and then your day's ruined. And then it's just like, and then when I would do never again stuff, it would make me happy. And then I was like, oh, all right. And then as far as I've came with this, I tell people all the time, I'm like, this is a machine to keep me grounded and where I'm going. And as long as I move, like I could have the worst day ever. And if I move a centimeter of this business forward, it means the world to me and I'm happy.
Yeah, that's literally what kept me afloat at the other job. I don't even hate my job. You know what I mean? It's just like I use the word all the time. It's like the word that I use is monotonous. It's just like, how long can I work for
robot work?
Yeah, right. Like how long can I work for somebody else making their money before it starts driving me absolutely insane? Yeah. It's not even necessarily about the revenue or the money, as much as it is just like spending my life energy on somebody that doesn't give two shits about me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're helping them create their dream.
Exactly. And that's that's
or
the
make
thing.
money.
Or
some
money.
people are just all about money.
But yeah, you want your own dream. You want your own shit.
Right.
You're helping them create their own, their dream.
And that's the idea. Is I tell people all the time, it's if you're consistent. I mean, you said you're doing this for 4 years or so, maybe longer.
The podcast 20 for. Okay, so I started the clothing when I was 28.
Okay, so you've been around the fucking block, and the bottom line is, as long as you're consistent and you stick to it, and I mean, like, nobody's going to take a brand seriously if it just came out in 2 seconds and you're not really showing anybody that you legitimately care about it.
Yeah, I mean, I always looked at it as like everyone was like, "Oh, this is so cool," and it's like, well, it's cool to you because we're in a small town. If this would have been out in LA, everyone would have been like, "Yeah, whatever, man." But but like, I had no resources to work with, and then once you start getting into it, there was a humbling moment where I was like, "This is going to be a mountain of work. Like, this is going to be a ton of work." But I was always just like, "Okay," and then I kind of like put the finish line and what I wanted to do with it so high that it just started keeping me out of trouble. It kept my head straight. It's like, I grew up, like I became a man through it, but like, you know what I mean? Like I just started being responsible. Yeah. I wasn't doing shit before I started this clothing company.
You're your own owner. So you have to hold yourself accountable for a lot of stuff. And that's one thing that I noticed. I'm glad you brought that up. I noticed my organization and my note taking and my ability to actually get just regular day-to-day tasks done. Like, I shouldn't have to put this in my notes, but laundry. Like, I'll put that stuff in my notes, and my girlfriend would probably argue otherwise, but like, you know what I mean? Like that stuff going in my notes.
You thought about it. And that's all that fucking matters,
right? It was in there. It
counts as much.
It was in there. It was a good, it was in there, and it was something that I wanted to do, and it's something that translates to a lot of things in life as far as just accomplishing little tiny things for the big picture, and that's important.
And the whole time I really didn't have a vision of where, like, I knew what I wanted to do with this, but I didn't know the podcast would start out of it. Like I told you when you came down, I just hit him up, and this was just going to be used as a tool to promote the clothing. And then it turned into, all right, well, now this is all the way up here. And then it's like, all right, but I'm taking things I learned from the clothing company and now applying it to the radio show. And then now that's moving faster. And then, like, I try to explain to people, like, if you learn the skill set off to the side, and if you're working a full-time job and doing it, you're still learning it. But then there's eventually going to come a point where I learned so much where I was like, okay, I need to go a part-time job. And then when I had a part-time job and was running this, I started being like, okay, well, this time right now, I should be doing emails and doing all this stuff. And then once I actually knew what I had to do in a day, then I was like, okay, now I can leave my job. But it took me not giving up on figuring out what to do. So if that person who wants to do interior design would start getting into just making connections, and like that's the funnest part, the very beginning where you're talking with your friends and you're making that connection, and everybody is like, this is fun. It's just fun. It's unknown. It's unknown where it's going to go. There's a ton of energy just going left and right, and you're just it's the best part of it. That's when people say enjoy that part, you don't know what they mean until it's past it, and you're like, oh yeah, that was it. Like we should have been enjoying it. But then that person can then take what they learned in these connections with interior stuff and then turn it into this, and then start asking questions, and then eventually be picking up so much work that they could be like, okay, I think I'm making, like, I've never made a lot of money at the dumb jobs I had. So I was like, all right, well, how do we make this little amount of money a week? It's just
the amount of money that you actually make at a job
is terrible.
It's not even That's the thing. It's not even that much money.
No.
The biggest thing with the small business is that it's just it doesn't have the consistency at the beginning that the large job requires, just because they have the numbers and the volume.
Yeah.
Right. But like once you get acclimated to an X amount of workload as the buildup of the company, right? So in your case, like you're going from doing the clothing, and then you started this, and you're like, well, now I have a little bit more time to do this, and you get faster at editing the videos in your case, and now you can take that time that you were spending X amount of hours or whatever editing the videos now to do something else. And as that gets better and you can handle the workload, you're just snowballing.
Yeah. And then there's so many other things that turned out this year where it's like, we just paid the rent with the sponsors. So it's like, that was huge. So it's like now it's like, all right, well, next month when that rent comes in, that stress is gone. So now I don't have to make that money. So now that money is now freed up that I was spending out of my pocket. So now that can go into other developments of the show, or it can just go into savings, or like we can be doing it. Now it's growing again.
Right. You're not digging in your pockets to stay afloat.
But the only way I figured that out was through the hustle of pushing past, I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Like it would drive me nuts. I mean, I was working in food, so there's a lot of creativity in there, but then it was like, that's such a grind. It's such a beating. You just get beat down. The hours are crazy. You're working weekends, and then It's just like, and then the older I got, the less I could handle the load,
or even wanted to. Cause
yeah,
I think you can get burnt in, like any job that it is. If you're working for somebody else, I feel like eventually you're gonna get burnt. Like I get burnt if I take on too much doing something that I want to do. I mean, you could take me into a bar 5 days in a row, and eventually I'm gonna be like, dude, I like doing this, but I'm fucking beat.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah, that's like what 25 turns into.
Yeah. So like if you're doing work, right? Like, one, if it's your own, and you already know this, like picking a reasonable amount of work to give yourself, and two, like doing it for somebody else just doesn't cut it.
No,
at least not for me. I mean, I don't know.
The other thing too with what you just said there, with like the reasonable amount of work for yourself, is like I started talking to other people who are running businesses and stuff and getting advice from them. And my one buddy was like, make sure you do like the amount of work you're choosing to do in a day for yourself is correct, and you're not overloading it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that is when everyone's like, I mean, he ran his own business for a while, so it's like when somebody says you work twice as hard, you're working twice as hard. It's nuts.
Yeah, but I took off a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but
That's fair too.
You have the
no, because it honestly depends on what kind of business. So I dealt with a lot of really fucking annoying people. So eventually it just drags. It's just everything's negative. Everybody's complaining. And then finally be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the fucking movies today. Yeah, and just go by myself in the middle of the day. That's it. It's like where people call and like, I'm busy. I'm out. I'm not in the office. Fuck it. Or you had a good day. Let's go buy a gun. And just leave and you have to do that. Like you can work yourself to fucking death. And then you end up with, oh, look, I worked myself. This is what I did. That doesn't mean shit. You got to enjoy it, too, while you do it.
Yeah, the balance is fun.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's people that will do that. When you first start a business, yes, it's a lot of work. But if you were working at least in that line or somewhere close to that, you don't have to put in the same amount of hours as somebody who's just starting to do it right away.
Right.
So if you've messed around with stuff you did before, now you're going, well, I'm going to break off and do my own. You don't need to work the 60 hours that you would if you just said, I'm going to start doing this, and I don't know shit about it.
Right.
So you have to balance it, or you'll go fucking crazy.
Did you guys feel like you burnt out at all, like at the beginning?
I burned out on this business. Hospitalized once, and then
that's pretty burnt.
Yeah, I was in Virginia. I was working 4 jobs and running this at the same time, and trying to date. That was the worst, and then
Dating's
I came home.
Probably the worst, yeah.
And then I came home.
That's the last straw. That was it.
Don't blame work on that shit.
No. And then I came home, and then maybe 2 legitimate times where I was just melted. But the only good thing about burning out is if you do it once to the point where you end up in the hospital, you know when it's coming. So now I will start feeling a specific way and be like, and it hasn't been that way in a while. Like I choose to like exercise, and like when I'm summer, like the weather's going to break. So I'll be on my mountain bike 2-3 times a day. Like that really levels out. Like if I get up and exercise in the morning and then sit down to work, I can think clearly. It's not like, like if I'm just drinking like 8 coffees and like not eating all day.
Makes you like, you're like, what the hell am I even doing? Yeah. The reason I ask is because we're only like a little over a year old, right? In the first year we went gung-ho and I just balls to the walls. I just wanted everyone to take it seriously, one, because I was serious about it and I wanted everyone to see that I was. And then 2, like we just wanted to get as much shit out there as we could. Yeah. And what happened was I got super fucking amped up to get it all done. That after the first year, I noticed I started getting like really irritable. I wasn't getting as much like quality stuff done. It might not have looked like it from the outside, but I was just getting really fucking irritated because printing everything yourself in house and all the things that I was trying to do, I wanted to control the whole process despite having 2 partners.
What did you do in the beginning with that process? Did you guys always want to do it in-house, or were you trying to get it screen printed?
I outsourced it through a friend of mine who does it for a living.
Yeah.
But there were like, I had really specific like timelines for a specific drop, a charity drop that we did. And it ended up being, I had waited a little bit too long to actually push the designs to him. And there were too many colors for him to screen print. So he does it for a living, but he doesn't do more than like 8 colors, I think it is, on a single screen. So this particular one had a ton of colors. I'm like, fuck, okay, so that means I have to do either like vinyl or, whatever the case may be, like stretch litho. There's a million different kinds of printing that you can do. So I had to go out, and last minute I just found it, and then I was like, all right, I just got to take this into my own hands. It was for charity, so I was like, I could print an extra amount, assuming that I could print them all in-house, right? So I can just do them on myself. it worked. I got it all done. I did everything
so
myself.
Insane that you did that.
I had to have printed like 75 hoodies or something, and each one had 3 different spots on it that needed to be printed. So if I fucked up one of them, I had to do it again. And the good news is that it worked out, and we raised a lot of money for that charity. But what I did after that was I just kept printing on myself because that was now what I was used to. And now I'm back to the point where it just gets, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
It's because what if I'm printing everything? Well, first of all, I'm working 9 to 5:30. By the time I get home, it's 6 o'clock. I have 6 to X time of night where I decide I'm going to sleep. And within that time now I have to get tracking stuff, labels, shipping. I have to print this stuff. It's like there's no breathing room. And that was what was started to drive me fucking nuts. I'm like, all right, I need some time to myself. I have a girlfriend. I have family. You know what I mean? Just little stuff. And basically what I'm getting at is I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to find like one of those bigger manufacturers, find somebody that I trust, push it all on them, tell them exactly what I want. I know exactly what I want, and I can verbalize that. Please do it like this. I'll pay you. You get it to me, and now we're all happy. So that's what I'm running with now.
Well,
so.
and it comes down to, and people, it'd be great to do it yourself. You can make more money that way, but how much is your time worth?
Yeah,
that's what it came
down to. And that's
what
people don't honestly, and that's, I follow Sean Whalen on Instagram, and he's business guy to the T, and he just always says, listen, man, you know, if I'm out and about and people hit me up and they're like, hey, let me ask you a question. He's like, sure. How long do you need?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, just give me like 2 minutes of your time. He's like, cool. That's like $1,000. You have $1,000 to give me? And the guy goes, what the fuck? He goes, dude, that's what my time is worth. Like, I could be with my family right now. And to me, that's worth a lot more than that. And I'm cutting you a break. So it's $1,000 if you want to talk to me right now about business. You sure you want to talk to me?
Seriously.
And the guy's like, well, and he's like, no, you need to properly, you know, add a value to what your time is. Now, it sucks that you're not doing it. You're not making as much money, but you have more time to spend with loved ones or whatever and get your sanity back.
Right. I mean,
so what's that worth?
The reality was
a lot.
Is the $3 I'm making extra on a shirt
sure,
worth my girlfriend wanted to strangle me to death for bitching? No. Like, no, not really. Or like even my partners are like, dude, you're being a fucking dick. I'm like, my bad. Like, I'm not even trying to be. I'm just fucking busy. You know what I mean?
It's not worth it.
And when you're that early in it too, you don't know the shortcuts. You don't know how to do things easier. It's like I talk to people now and they're like, hey, you know, like I'm helping my brother and his buddy are making like an outdoor clothing company thing. They just want something to do. So it's called like Fins and Tines, and they do some cool stuff. But I'm like walking him through the whole process of it. And I'm like, okay, let's go run this shit. And he's just like, I think I need to see some samples.
Wait, are we getting free stuff?
We could.
Fuckers. Yeah. I want free shit.
Rich will definitely hook us up.
So what is it, like bow? I'm sorry, I'm cutting this shit.
No. It's like
outdoors will be fins.
It's outdoor stuff. It's like fishing and hunting.
Yeah,
and
so like hunting. That's what
there's
I'm
like a fish and an antler on it.
Okay.
And him and his buddy are going to like just film content when they do like a lot of fun stuff. Like they're in a hunting club, and then they have like a squirrel shooting contest, and whoever gets the most squirrels like comes back. But they just were doing it, and then my brother, which is funny where I see like the part of our family stand out when he's like, I made a trophy this year. So he made this like ridiculous trophy, and then like so he like turned it into like a bigger thing than it was.
That's those are the best though. Like when you have like a trophy for something super like whatever you want to call it.
So then like now it's a big thing, like where they just had the tournament, but now they're like, who's taking the trophy home? And then they go to a fishing tournament every year, and they lose. But what they do is they bring cooking equipment on, and they're like making like really high end food in the boat. So he's like, I think we should start filming this and do something with it. And I'm like, I'll help you do all that, because I just like what you said, it's just helping people. So it's like if I can help my brother and like tell him how to film this stuff, and then I'm like, dude, you want to do a podcast? I don't care about doing a podcast with my brother.
When I used to have I had a vinyl cutter, so I bought some of that t-shirt vinyl just to like fuck around. And I had a press and everything, so I was like, and I used to do for a fishing team. Every year they'd come, and it was a bunch of my friends. They're like, hey, we're doing a fishing thing, and I was like, I don't make t-shirts, man. Like, I just fuck around. Like, I can put my logo on my sweatshirt and I go into the jail with it. Like, that's all. No, just find a logo. So I got some kind of like fishing logo with like a fish coming out of water with like little ripples in the water and stuff. And I go, there, how's this? He's like, that's perfect. Put our name on it. I said, what? So every year it was my job to find the ugliest fucking colored shirts. So they're always like shit brown, or they'd be like not even bright pink, like pale pink. And I go, what color vinyl? And he's like yellow. I'm like,
Just like-
pink and yellow? And he's like, no, I want us to be seen when we're out fucking fishing. We stand out. I was like,
Pull the trigger.
You look pretty fucking bad. And he's like, every year it was god awful. But I remember that, yeah.
That's awesome.
They never won shit. They don't think they ever caught a fucking
No,
fish.
he said they try, but like they don't. You know, they don't have all the. Like they said, like
Well,
a
there's people that
fishing
are like
boat.
super pro. Yeah, no.
But I mean, like his buddy's hilarious. It's Clint Listella. And,
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
So like, there's he's like, I think we should start filming this, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I could edit it. I'm like, we could definitely dick around, and I don't mind helping them. So like right now, they're trying to get like hats embroidered and stuff, and like walking them through that whole process. And I'm like, cool, pick a hat, let's do it. And he's like, well, I think I'm gonna look at these 4, and I'm just like ready to run. But like, you forget that how much I've learned over the last 20 years that like I can literally just like bang stuff out in like a week.
I'm so impulsive with that stuff because now I know exactly what it is that I'm looking for, and people have different tastes. The thing that's crazy about that whole story in general, though, and it translates to really anything, is it's amazing how many people are super interested in just a couple of people having fun doing something pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Like that's like the internet to a T. Like you could film that, right? You could film exactly that.
Yeah.
Them cooking that stuff in the back of this boat, losing this fishing thing. And people are gonna be like, that's funny. These guys are just fucking having a good time.
The one day we were there, and I got an email or something from some company, and it was just like an embroidery place, and I was like, all right, if you get your first order and you spend $30, we give you like a free collared shirt. And I was like, well, I own a business, so I'll make that one like I wear to court or something. And I was like, what am I going to get? And I'm like, I don't really fucking. So I was just like, they have bowling shirts. I'm going to make a fucking bowling shirt. I made one bowling shirt. And then all my friends are like, yo, let's get these bowling shirt. And it became a fucking thing.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, it was just a joke. I want to wear a fucking bowling shirt.
Now we're doing it.
Yeah, now I'm wearing a fucking bowling shirt.
Do you think bowling shirts will ever come back, or do you think Guy Fieri ruined them?
His aren't necessarily bowling shirts. They're kind of like
Shit, I might run a drop next month.
Bowling shirts.
When I stole from is when fucking Charlie Sheen started wearing them.
Yeah, that's right.
He was wearing them on that show,
Sheen.
and I was like, I'll get fucking blue and red. And
Was it 2.5 Men?
yeah, I remember he used to wear them all the time, and I was like, we should probably I'm going to get a fucking bowling. And it was nice.
He makes him look pretty cool.
Yeah, not fat guys. That's a little rough.
I think you could run him.
A little rough.
When did you? So you just started getting away from doing it yourself out of the house?
Yeah, so I just wanted to free up some time. I wanted to focus. We moved from quantity the first year. Our goal the first year was to do a lot of quantity and get it in as many people's hands as possible. So the easiest way to do that was the cheapest option, where I had complete control over. If somebody wanted something, I could run home, print it.
Yeah, that is like the. Like there's been a lot of times where like I'm trying to figure out how much to order. Should I do a pre-order? And then it's like if you did the stuff yourself, you could essentially do them. And I mean that was always the appeal of the printers that will print out shirts.
Yep.
And I looked into those.
The DDG ones or whatever they're called. Yeah, that's pretty much what we were thinking. So we're like, all right, well if we have complete control over what we're making, and I have all the wholesale stuff just hanging out, and I have all the screens and all the stuff that we need. At any point, I could make something and have it delivered by, X time, assuming that I'm not work overload, right?
Yeah.
What we focused on this year is we turned that over a bit. We got a lot of stuff in a lot of people's hands last year, and we were super proud of that. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We're not really going to change anything. The only difference is that we moved into doing a pre-order style, but we only leave our pre-orders open for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
By doing that, the people that really, really want something will get exactly what they're looking for. And then they'll also, without them even maybe knowing it, they're having something that's limited. And maybe if we end up getting bigger and more popular, they're going to have something special. But they deserve something special because they were on board first. And they were quick to the purchase. And then, for instance, this last one that we did with the embroidered hoodies, like we did pre-orders for those, I think for only like a week and a half, 2 weeks. We sold X amount of them in different colorways. But then we only ordered black and white as neutral colors for the ones that we would hold on to, take the pop-ups, put online, and have available for people. Those were the most popular colors to begin with, but it's cool to see that the people that ordered early are going to get something a little bit different.
That they couldn't get.
And now we're never going to make them in color again. I don't plan on doing that. Maybe like in another year for our second anniversary. Like I don't know what we're going to do at that point. You know what I mean? But
And it's like when you blow out of something fast, there's always like, do we do another run?
I will never. I've been pretty adamant about that only because building demand is something that I think is important. Demand, right? It's clothing.
Yeah.
Like nobody fucking needs a hoodie with a balloon on it. Let's be honest. But like,
Yeah.
the
You have to
demand
create
comes
a
from
need for it.
like if I tell you that we have X amount and these aren't like made to order, so if you don't order it within that 2 week span, there's a good chance that you're not getting it. Next time you like something, order it, because I don't particularly care about the money right now. Like, I'm working full time and I have enough money to take care of myself. Yeah. This is something that I care 100 times more than the work, but I care about it so much that the money involved in it isn't even something that matters to me. So I can sit here and say, yeah, no, like, it's too late, you can't order that, because I'm not going to go out of my way to make one. And that's not to be like a dick. Like, I'm not gonna be like, no, yeah, sorry, man.
No, it's. I did last year was the first year we ran the hoodies, and they're popular, and I got it down to where that logo is a single color, so it's like, hoodies are expensive to make. So when I did that, they went. I did a pre-order and I did well with it, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I had so many people texting me, "What's up? Would you have them?" And I'm just like, "Did you read any of that for the last two?" But no one does. And then I was like, fuck it. I hit up Axelrad and I was like, I think I can crank out. And then I had enough pre-orders where I was like, I think I can do another 30. And then so I got those out, and then I still had people, and then I stopped myself because I was like, it was almost like you're getting a little too greedy, where I'm like, what's going to happen is you're going to order another 30.
Yeah.
You're going to have
problem
two.
To have.
Yeah, but you're only going to sell 2, and then you're going to have fucking 25 sweatshirts left over, and now you have more inventory to get rid of.
Truthfully, that's my biggest concern anytime I order inventory, because there was one drop that we did, and I probably spent a couple grand on it. It was a bunch of pieces. I made these like really nice windbreakers, and at the time that I dropped them, I had sold a fraction of them, and I was like, fuck, like, I made a lot of the money back, but I didn't make like, it's not like I made any money on it, or it's not like, and I had all these windbreakers laying around. So I ended up giving them away to a bunch of like rap artists and musicians and stuff at concerts, because that was like a piece that they would legitimately wear. It wasn't just like, oh, this guy gave me a t-shirt. Yep. Nothing against t-shirts, but like, it's when you're getting thrown something at a concert that you're performing at, it's got to be something that's a little bit eye-catching. So it ended up working out, because one of the guys that I threw it to ended up wearing it to Rolling Loud in New York, which was just like a huge concert that he performed at. The reason I bring that up is because now that's like the most popular thing I get asked about, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make them again. Like, ship sailed on that one, man. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's out. Like, all people, like, I had zip ups, and I did a pre-order, and I ran it for 2 weeks, and I thought that was gonna go a lot better than it did, and it was super clean. I had like the radio tower logo, and it was the first time that I had Never Again made on a tag, and then they sewed it on the pocket, and I was like this is like
that little detail adds so much.
But I've been wanting to do that for so long, and
I haven't even done that yet, and that's something that I really want to do.
I was like, when it was before, I was like, you're not ready to do something like that, and it's not worth the extra money. But now I'm like, all right, we should probably start ripping the tags out. We should be printing on the inside, pay the extra quarter, stuff like that. So it's like, that was the first time I did that, and I was so proud of it. And it's just, I sold like 30, and then I was like, huh. But then every time I wear it, people are like, yo, you got any more of those? I'm like, you didn't read the Facebook.
No, like, nothing.
Like, and then I'm putting it out there so much and that's what we're talking about, social media, is where I get afraid sometimes that I'm being too aggressive with posting a fucking t-shirt over and over and over and over and over, and then people are like, I didn't see that. And I'm like, what?
Who the hell was I talking to about that? Oh man, I cannot remember who it was. Oh, when we were doing the charity thing with Second Base, Andy Poe, the guy in Easton, he has like a skate shop and stuff. When we were setting this stuff up and I was doing like a couple sit downs with him just talking about it, he goes, you got to realize that you're posting on your social media and you're seeing everything in like a linear format. You have to post enough that like, you got to assume that most people are only seeing maybe one of those 10 posts.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the point across within that 10 posts, or if it's not simple enough to be grasped, you're essentially wasting your time and energy. Yeah. So like, that was a really good point that he made, and I was glad that he told me that, because as we got better at this marketing thing, like, you know that exercise when you're like young, where they have you talk about like how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but you have to give the full instructions? Did they ever do that?
No.
Okay, so when I was younger, like, they would make you explain how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but you had to explain every minute detail. So if you said, okay, put the peanut butter on the jelly, they'd be like, okay, so you like grab it with your hand and put it on. Like, you have to say, oh, grab the knife and put it on. So you have to like baby step every little thing. And the idea is that it just gets you better at being descriptive about what you're actually saying. So the reason I brought that up is because in your posts, like, you literally have to talk to these people like they're 6.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be like, hey, this post is going to be
Well,
a post to buy this product.
And what's also too is especially things like Facebook. There's so much stuff going through the feed. If you put it in the morning, you think like, all right, I got it out. All my friends are going to see it. Nope. Within like an hour, that shit's 30, 40 posts down. They're not going
on Facebook. I just started recently, got my website up and working with someone who knows a lot about social media stuff, and it's 1% of the people that follow you is what actually is seen. So if you post something, 1% of that. That's why people we made a group, and then we do a lot of stuff in the group because people just see it. It's
more personal.
Yeah, and it's also not buried. So now the way they have it set up is you have to pay to get out further. And I remember when I was in Virginia, and it was the first time where I felt like a clothing company. I was selling t-shirts every day, and I was like, this is crazy. We did the Rosie the Riveter shirt, and Bicknell did the artwork, and I was like, this is what I'm going to end up doing for the rest of my life. And then they changed the algorithm, they bury stuff, and then now they make you pay for it.
I could have a full sit down with
algorithm, but I tell you
Zuckerberg.
That TikTok, their algorithms are completely different to everybody else's. I got into a downward spiral. I like 2 things, and the next 50 posts after that were all tied around everything.
Really?
So yeah, so TikTok.
I downloaded the app, and
don't do it. Just don't even look. Don't even open it.
Well, for me, it's I want to be able to utilize it for what I'm doing, but it's
no. I'm telling you, you will listen. I'll turn it on. And I'll be like, I got 5 minutes. So just looking. You're and then you're 20 minutes go by, and you're like, fuck. It's a nonstop.
How the hell is it 3 weeks later,
dude? And it's every other post is some broad with barely any clothes on, just dancing. They're like, this is I got to turn that off, and then it just goes, and it's it's good because everybody's starting to get them, even famous people.
Yeah.
So they're doing their own shit. But I like this one dude did this fucking crazy edit, and he looks like fucking Bill Lawyer. He's fucking jacked. And he just sings, and all of a sudden it blinks, and he turns into this fucking horrible guy with blood coming out. And I was just like,
whoa.
Yo! I showed him why. She's like, why are you watching? I was like, that is fucking badass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm watching it, but
I'll show you the video, and all of a sudden he's just talking about some rap video. He's just mouthing the words, and it just goes boom, and it's just him and fucking blood coming out, and he's just fucking. I was like, yo.
It looks like there's a lot of fun stuff you can do on it.
It's all editing.
Yeah.
The one girl. That's
definitely what I want is more editing.
No,
yeah, right.
No, but I don't know any of that shit. I don't do video. But then the one girl's just like, oh, it's time for bed, and she just falls back into her bed, and as soon as she hits her bed, it just edits. She's under the covers, and she's like, hey.
Yeah, it's crazy the stuff you can do.
Yeah.
On there.
It's kind of like how Vine started.
It's a lot longer version of Vine. Yeah. It's not as quick. Vine's really short, but this is a lot. Yeah,
I think Vine had a 15-second limit or something.
Yeah, some of these can go for a long fucking time. The only thing I didn't know, the very first time, some dude was just, his friends were just like, he's like his father, and was like, hey, and it says something like, my son his girlfriend just broke up with him. I don't think he'll have a problem. And he's walking with the camera, and you can hear his son singing in the bathroom, and I was like, that guy's got some fucking talent. And then I look at the screen, and I'm like, okay, and then 5 minutes later, someone else is saying something very similar, and I was like, you motherfucker. There's 80 videos using the same kind of premise, and people just switch it up.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, yo, listen to my friend sing, and there'll just be people looking like they're singing.
It's like a meme.
And all people are just going, oh, they're reacting to it, and you're like, wait a minute, I heard some other guy do that same voice before, so now you really have to look at the bottom, and it'll say original audio by... And if it doesn't match that fucking I just fucking boop, you're gone.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's monetizing off of it.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. And they definitely don't I heard on a couple podcasts that they don't know if the numbers are real.
I don't know.
They're very unrealistic.
Some of them first the ones I'm clicking, but I watched a dude re-sleeve a fucking small block Chevy. He was like, this is what I'm doing, and it was a fucking 5-minute video of him doing work on it. I was like, really? This is 5 fucking minutes long? But it was 250,000 views.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they don't slow it. You know what I mean? With Instagram, it's you got in Facebook, you got to pay to go out. So I mean, maybe TikTok's just kind of leaving it wide open.
It's a trap. So if you don't have it, don't get it.
As far as I know, with TikTok, I mean, any app for that matter, if it's under the radar to a degree where it's not being used for primarily advertising, it just goes based off of views and whoever the person that posted it, if they have some
that's
form
probably
of following.
That's probably what you would be getting on Instagram if they weren't throttling you down.
Well, now that Instagram and Facebook are pretty much linked,
that sucks.
But
it's everything's
the algorithm's on point though, because if you You know, the one was a video of a dude was racing a guy with a Challenger. He pulled up next to a Mustang or something, and he just blew him away. It was just like, spend the extra 10 grand for a V8, you fucking loser. And I was like, yes. And then the next one was like some other thing, and it just kept going down. I was like, wow, the last 50 videos about dudes drag racing or doing something. I'm like, I don't really care that much about drag racing.
Yeah, right.
So I had to turn it off. And I came back later, and it was like, oh, there's a girl dancing again. Now we're back in it. And we're
Isn't that
over.
weird how, like, you cannot have television now, and this is what... Like, there's some times where...
sucks.
But there's some times where I'll just be on the couch killing time, and I'll just go on social media, and I'm like, this... Like, before you would just be going through the TV.
Yeah, just
like
trying
before
to find
dinner,
something remotely
like, you had a
entertaining.
half hour before dinner, and you're just trying to find a show.
But the problem is you mix that in with everything else. So
Yeah.
I was sitting there doing something, and then my wife's like, come on, let's go. Stop fucking around your phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm learning how to fix the fucking fridge right now. Like, I'm not fucking around. Like, I'm really had to fix my fridge.
I have
like,
a 20-year-old
I don't
girl
know.
dancing on TikTok showing me how to fix the fridge right now. I'll be there in a second.
She's super talented.
She's very smart.
YouTube has, I really like what they do with their algorithms. You can find a lot of good music. Sometimes we'll just
Yeah,
hang
they're
out
pretty
down
good.
here and put videos on,
Yeah.
which is essentially what MTV was.
We'll do that on the weekends. Or like my daughters, we'll click on a song like on the TV on YouTube, and it'll just start selecting other things. That's how she finds stuff she likes. But it can get a little weird after a while too. They throw in a couple fucking ringers in there, and they try to steer you away. So she'll listen to like Carrie Underwood, and then it'll be like Taylor Swift, and all of a sudden it'll be like all this hip hop shit will start coming in, and I'm like, no, we're steering away.
How dare
we're
you?
staying away. Yeah, but not when you're 8. We're steering away from that. We're going to like little girls singing. We're not going to go into fucking booty slapping and.
Have you been primarily into hip hop your whole life? It seems like there's a lot of that mixed in with.
Not at all, honestly. I grew up listening to. I mean, honestly, I liked like Slipknot and stuff.
Hell
Like, that was what I liked.
Oh yeah, there you
And
go.
then I wrestled in high school and college, so that was like my pump up stuff, like just heavier
Yeah.
stuff. And then, when I went through like a phase of like reggae where I was just like, all right,
Yep.
like fuck it, let's chill.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
went like,
That happened to me. I was on vacation, and it was the first time I got reggae music because we were on vacation and we were like at some restaurant and we were just super relaxed having beer
feeling
at
it.
like noon, and it was just on in the background. I was like, oh, this is what reggae is.
yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I had a guy teach me at school. He was from Jamaica, and I had something on. He just goes, I'll bring you real Jamaican music. So he brought shit that wasn't on the radio, so I had real shit.
Yeah.
And it's good. I mean, it's good to relax, but yeah, like you said, like if you're in the weight room, I just don't see how people listen to hip hop in the weight room. It just doesn't do it for me.
It depends.
I need screaming and yelling.
I can't do reggae. I'll tell you that.
No.
Reggae's not. If I'm sleeping if I put that on.
Yeah.
Like,
You just go to why they have like B104 on. I'm like, gee, nothing gets me going. Like fucking,
yeah, that's like people on the treadmill just kind of hanging out
Yeah,
type
no.
of thing. But if I'm like if I'm lifting, like that's not gonna do it for me. I'll listen to something heavy, or like I can listen to hip hop or any rap for that matter. But I think that's mostly because I've been ingrained in that as far as like it's something that I would listen to when I was partying. So it gets me kind of like energized because in my head it's like, okay, well, let's go do something exciting. So to answer your question, no, rap was never even something that I really listened to at all until I was in college, honestly. I couldn't have named very many rappers other than like old school rappers that were like prominent up until probably like my end of my freshman year of college. But then being at college, it was just easy to listen to all that stuff. And then because I liked music and I enjoyed finding new music, I would start finding the ones that were kind of up and coming, which is kind of where I'm at now, where I go to these pop-ups that I set up or at these shows where it's up and coming artists or artists trying to get recognized.
How do you go about like the whole pop-up thing? Because I want you to explain that a little bit.
So basically, I met a guy. So the first one that I did, I'll just start with the first one that I ever did, and kind of how it unfolded. There was an event called Life and Friends. It was a networking event, right? So to me, a networking event is just you go and you meet a bunch of other people with similar interests. You exchange business cards, you bullshit, and you just meet a million other people that are there. What I didn't know was that there was going to be an entire live, like, essentially rap set while this is going on. So I'm sitting there, and I set up a whole, like, thing. It was, like, a really nice setup. And all of a sudden, these dudes start coming out and just start going ballistic. And these are, like, really, really, these are like really like energetic shows. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, this is fucking wild. Like, I wasn't expecting this at all. Like, so then I was like, this is cool. So then I met like the actual people that were performing. And since it fell in line with what I was doing anyways, I'm like, yeah, like, take a fucking shirt, man. Like, that was cool. Like, if it was somebody that I legitimately enjoyed their performance, they weren't big enough that they were just going to blow me off, but they were big enough that they would come hold a conversation with me. I could get to know them. And I just started dishing out all these shirts. So then I just kept going to these Life and Friends concerts. One, because that was cool. And two, the dude that runs it is now a friend of mine. He's just a cool fucking guy. And now I've become, I think that was the first event that they ever did, if I'm not mistaken. So I just kept doing them with them. So every like month when they had a new show, they would have they started getting headliners. So they started getting people that had a big following, like 1.2 million followers on Instagram. Like, I just got a video airdrop to me. This girl rapper named Coyle Ray, who has 1.3 million or something. A hoodie that I dropped behind stage for her, she had on and like was doing a music video shoot, and he filmed it, and I got the clips for it and the B-rolls and all this stuff. So like, I guess as they grow, without even realizing it, as they're growing, I'm growing alongside of them, and it's just a really cool, like, I'm going to use the word partnership because I see it that way. Whereas they continue to grow, I'm growing. So I guess to answer your question in a nutshell is, how did it start and how am I doing those? That was just completely coincidental. I just picked an event that I thought was going to be cool. It ended up being a phenomenal fit. I met a bunch of really fucking cool people, photographers, artists, musicians, the guy that runs it, like event managers and stuff. And then I'm just like, yeah, this is exactly where I want to be.
I think that's so important because it circles back to exactly what we started in the beginning, where it's like, if you wouldn't have just did these things, I mean, all this shit is not from us just being like, okay, let's do it. Like, the amount of people that I met along the way that were willing to help me out, or friends that I had that were willing to invest their time to do the lighting down here and explain video down here, and him doing the audio. Like, I reached out to all these people just because I wanted my thing to grow. And it's like, if you're afraid to do that, and you know, it's not, I've gone to pop-ups and stuff where you're by yourself and you set up your booth and you don't know if anyone's going to like your shit. It's super vulnerable.
That's the thing that was really cool about these events, is that you set up here and you know that people are going to go towards the front of the stage regardless. So if you're anywhere near there, you have a lot of people to talk to. You don't have to worry about foot traffic because it's not like a flea market style pop-up.
Yep, or a tattoo convention.
Right. It's not like where you're just having people kind of casually roaming by and they're like, oh, you're going to sell to me. Like, I'm sitting there just getting into it too. Like, I'm just a part of the crowd. I just happen to have a bunch of shit with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. And that ended up just being something that worked out really, really well. And that's why you see so much of that rap stuff. Like, I listen to that in addition to the other stuff that I listen to. I enjoy playing music with my friends. So, like, I also listen to normal. Like, I say normal because it's just, it's not as, it's not as like juvenile, I guess would be the word for it. But like, I listen to a lot of different stuff. That one just happens to be the one that fits what I currently am listen to, and what really fits our demographic as well. Streetwear is like 18 to 35 realistically.
But it's cool because I saw all that stuff and I was like, oh, he's probably into hip hop. And then I was just like, man, he's like these, like, I figured you were giving stuff to people, but I also didn't know. But then to hear how that all started and then have that explain some of your social media, that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, the first year I knew going into it, I'm like, I'm going to print off some extra stuff because I know that this is going to require that we give some away. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's how it works. Like, nobody wants to buy besides like your close friends, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, nobody gives a shit about this as much as I do.
No.
Bottom line.
My buddy told me once, he goes, if you want to know what it's like, he goes, move to New York and do this. He goes, nobody fucking cares you're doing this.
Because they see it every fucking 45 steps.
So I'm saying, around here, everyone's like, what are you doing? That's crazy. What's a podcast? You go anywhere else, it's like,
Which is a great fucking point, because a lot of people take this for granted, is the Lehigh Valley is such a good starting and building block.
Yeah.
I know that it frustrates some people that they feel like they need to move to a city in order to do well. But I'm like, you got to realize that the caveat to that is that the people that grow up in a city that are sitting there doing this, it's like seeing a a kid at a play place in McDonald's, like you're not even gonna bat an eye because you're used to seeing it. So if you're sitting there setting up a pop up on the street in New York City, they're just gonna ignore you because they think you're gonna banter them with trying to sell to them and shit. So you either need to be insanely creative or you need to...
It's important to focus on that because when I started this, I always thought I would end up having to move. I always just thought I would end up out in LA. And I moved down to Virginia with my brother, and then I realized how much harder it was because my base was here. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, fuck, I got to build another base. But I was like, but why would I? My support system's back home, so why wouldn't I build off of this?
Did you find that it was hard to maintain the foundation you had in here when you were out there? I feel like that's hard because you're not as hands-on, so now all of a sudden you're pouring from the cup that's in two different places.
Especially with like having to go into shops. Mm-hmm. Like when I would get into skate shops and stuff, I always made it a point to stop by once a week, bullshit with them, see what they need, ask them questions. I learned a lot from Joe over at Amateur and a bunch of other people, Chris at Penn Skate. Chris at Penn Skate, I was just such a nervous, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And he's like, how much are you going to sell these to me for? And I'm like, and he's like, okay, well, and he like explained it to me, but it's like he could have ripped me off. He could, you know what I mean? He could have went a million different ways.
Those are thorough dudes, man. There's a reason they've been around this long.
For sure.
I don't think that I'm going to use the word selfishness. Like these guys wouldn't be surviving if they were inherently selfish people. Yeah. Like they're just thorough dudes that just want to give people joy.
There was so much in those early years, and then when I went there in Virginia, and then I was trying to build those relationships, and I was just like, man, all this shit's already built back home. Mm-hmm. And then I would come home, and then eventually I was just like, fuck it, we're going to do it from here. And then even then, it wasn't until we were in the Bethlehem one, and I got choked out, and it went viral, and it hit every MMA thing. And they talked about...
skimmed over that a little quick. I don't know.
They talked about it on the Jason Ellis show. And then it went viral on Barstool.
You might have to break that story down for me.
So very quickly, so Carmelo, which I actually saw him last week.
Yeah.
I didn't get to say hi. Anyway, so we had a UFC fighter was coaching around here. He was coaching Carmelo Marrero.
What show? Oh, what is that? Oh, what the hell's the name of that?
He was top team.
Top team. I remember his name because my buddies fought for them.
He knocked out Czech Congo.
Yeah. So he was coaching around here. So I used to train over at a place over in Caddy, and a lot of the people that trained there with me were now over at Top Team, or they were over at 10th Planet, and they were all kind of friends and all kind of talking. So we had my old coach on, and it was great and everything. And I said, oh, it was so good. It's so interesting talking to people like that because he's a fucking hustler. And I was like, we got to get more people on like that. And it clicked. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, well, why don't you have on fucking Carmelo? He was a UFC fighter. Like, why? I go, I don't know. Like, call him. So he brought a bunch of people on. And one of the people he brought on was Mickey Gall, which is the up-and-coming guy, not anymore, but for the UFC, he was a young guy from Jersey. Mm-hmm. And he came in, and he was just like, yo, man, I can't really talk about anything, but, like, I'm going to be on a show called, Dana White looking for a fight. Like, I'm going to be on there. So we're like, oh, shit, this guy's, like, really, like, we behind the scenes, like, he's going to hit it big. So Mike was like, hey, man, like, I haven't done any of this. I want to get choked out. So he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll choke you out. So we filmed it.
Yeah, right.
It was crazy. What sucks is
he filmed it, and we didn't have any of our shit set up. It isn't
how it is now. If it would have been how it was now, and it was pipelined, we would have made
fucking money.
Our numbers would have, like, it was hitting over 300,000, and it was on three different. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one.
They choked him out. And this was before this dude got famous, and he choked him out, and then like we put it up, and then like two other people put it up, and all of a sudden it was like the numbers were spinning, and then
once it gets shared, man,
and then Barstool talked about it.
Well, it got picked up on every MMA
and they were like, yeah, all these news feeds from MMA were like talking about it.
Was like
Barstool, and then overweight. Jason Ellis brought it. They're like, yo, don't know if you saw this video, and he just goes, oh, I love those guys, and I'm like, who the fuck? You don't know. All right, I'm all in.
I love you too, man. Yeah, I digress, but was it like a full blown like out?
Oh, no, he was out. He was snoring.
There's a video.
Oh,
yeah, dude, you feel so awake when you wake back up though. Like you feel like you slept for
hours. Well, after he
hours.
did that, then all of a sudden Mickey Gall went out and won a fight, and then went out, and he's the one that fought like CM Punk, and then trying to make his way up. He's lost a couple times now, so he's not really. I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's still in the UFC, but he's not like one of the prime people. So we just hit it. We was luck of the draw that we got that guy that was on his way up.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But it was great because he had all these
weird.
views. And
I've
we're
never
like,
been choked
"Fuck,
out
man."
before. I woke up and I had an.
Oh, we got leg kicked by Carmelo also.
It was weird. It was like
That didn't get a lot. We should put that up. It didn't get a lot.
Run that back. The leg kick.
oof, I couldn't walk for 3
Oh,
weeks.
so-
It fucking
so-
sucked. And he didn't even kick me as hard as
after
he
he got
could.
choked out, it was after, right? It's
Yeah.
after. He said, because we're into MMA and stuff like that, and like I said, I'm not a pro fighter, any of that fucking shit. But I would go and train, so I know how bad everything really sucks. Like I don't want to get choked out; it sucks.
Yeah.
So he goes, I think we should get like kicked or something, or like punched. And I was like,
feel like that's worse.
I'd rather get kicked. So we're like, we're gonna go kick, and he's like, well, I want to get kicked. I'll have Carmelo do it. He's a fucking UFC fighter. Like that's cool. So I said all the time. I told my wife, I'm like, we're gonna go up to the gym, and like this UFC fighter is gonna like give him a leg kick, and it's gonna go very badly, and we're gonna film it. And she's just like, you're not gonna get your leg kicked. And I go, no, I'm not fucking stupid. I'm not doing that. Well, we filmed it. He got kicked. It's excruciating and
He
painful.
just dropped me like a sack of
And
potatoes.
then I'm laughing.
I didn't know how to
and
stand. He
I'm
did.
laughing.
It's not like one of those little like kid kicks. It's like a full
No,
blown.
I'll show you the video. So, but then we did it, and it was bad. And then I'm laughing. He's just like, whatever. Why don't you do it? So then, I'm a dude. So it's just like, yeah, I'll fucking do it. Like, why not?
Yeah, right.
So I took it. I was just held the pain in a lot better. And I was like, good God. I remember walking out, him walking, just going, I can't fucking walk.
Yeah.
I can't fucking. And it
3
was
weeks?
my leg.
Yeah.
Just
it was
black
like
and
purple.
blue.
Yeah. And he didn't even kick us as hard as he could.
No,
That's insane.
it was enough. It was enough. And now, and like I said, all that does ultimately was you realize they're doing that like 50 times a fucking fight.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're still fighting.
Yeah. I would just be crying.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I would
Because once
too.
you take a kick like that, every other little kick in that spot is just like fireballs.
I was fucked up for a while. It was the first week was
Yeah.
the worst, and then I was still like it was like the leftover pain of a Charlie horse was week 3,
Yeah.
but week 1 and 2 were like I was like,
Excruciating.
fuck, man.
But
yeah.
it was a trap because everybody in the gym was lined up against the wall.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just like, well, you do it. Why don't I need to go? No.
Yeah, right. So then the whole parade of people had to do it.
But I mean, even when we did that, Instagram wasn't the way it is now. You couldn't upload videos then.
Yeah.
No.
I think to bring this entire thing full circle is
You want to get kicked in the leg? By
yeah,
Carmelo?
kick me, guy. No, like being a yes man is what I call it. Like in terms of like things to do. Like you guys were openly like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being this circulating video.
Well, we still, and
Yeah.
I do have a hookup now that you can get attacked by a dog.
Yeah, there's a list of
We
things
get
that I
attacked
wanted
by
to
dogs
do
soon.
with shit like that. I mean,
It's funny as hell.
I wanted to just find an interesting guest, but then at the same time, I didn't want to do what Jackass was doing. But I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like there was a point, and I'm glad I never did it. Like I was trying to set up to get checked by a Phantoms hockey player,
Yeah.
and then I was
that'd
like,
be fucking funny as
but
shit.
like I don't have insurance, and then my back's all fucked up.
And
Just
then
from,
they're gonna be all weird about it
dude,
too.
like if they like, I'd have to. But I was like, man, if you would have let that guy hit you. I'm like, you could have just blown out your fucking back and would have just been
shit,
fucked.
you go hit him.
I would have been on the ground going, ugh. But the whole point of that entire story was that when they talked about us on, I didn't know what Barstool was at the time, and they were like overweight guests, or they were like overweight podcast host gets choked out by Mickey Gall, and I was like, fuck you. But I didn't like but I didn't know. I mean, Barstool's 10 times the size as it was back then.
Yeah.
But then it was on MMA forum or MMA things that I followed. And then when Jason Ellis talked about it, I had this moment and I was like, you don't have to go anywhere. You did one thing in a
the
basement
world
in
opened
Bethlehem.
up now. You don't have to be
You
there.
did one thing in a basement in Bethlehem, and it shook, and you connected to all these different media outlets. You connected to Los Angeles from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, in a fucking basement next to a fucking rehab facility, and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And at that point, I was like, you don't have to go anywhere, man. You don't. You can stay home. You can be around your friends. You can be around your family. Like, there's nothing wrong with moving away, but it's like I was too old. Like, when I got to go away, it was almost like that was my college when I was in my mid-20s, but I was trying to work on the business, but all my best friends were at home. Like, it wasn't like I was young and I went away and met new people. Like, I definitely met really cool people, and I still talk to some of them today, but it's not what I had built back here. And then it's like, I think it's important to stay with that group, and you just keep growing, and you don't need to get out of here.
The support system's important, and with social media in particular, since we're on that topic, like, you don't need to be, put it this way, you don't need to be at said location in order to make it look like you're at said location.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I could give my login to somebody that's at an event, or like tell my buddy to send me videos from an event, and all I have to do is tag it.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm there. And I don't, I'm gonna be honest, I don't do that if I'm not there. I don't personally do it, but I know that you can do that.
Yeah.
Like there's a million different ways to market. You know what I mean? If I know that somebody, a friend of mine, is in Colorado or somewhere doing something that I find super fucking cool, like if he's at an art museum, I go, hey, like, send me a couple of videos of that. I'm just going to throw it on the internet because it's something cool to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that shit's crazy. It's gasoline. The terminology I use is it's gasoline on a fire, man. Like you can do anything with social media now.
Yeah.
And you don't
especially
have
where
to
it's
leave
at
home
now.
base. Yeah. Like,
it's where it's like, because I mean, we reached out. I mean, that was when, I mean, like I said, Instagram wasn't the way it was. There wasn't Facebook groups.
Everything's changed. Everything's changed. And it changes every fucking week.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are famous for being on fucking YouTube and Instagram. And like my daughter will look now and she just goes, I just want to be famous on YouTube. And I was like, that ship's fucking sailed.
yeah,
Like,
the caveat with that, though, is as quickly as people come,
they go.
as quickly they go unless they're
But the
legitimately
people
talented.
the people that got in really early made a fuck ton of money. And
Those
I don't
little
think you
fucking
can make.
Vine
I don't think
kids,
you
you
do
kidding
that
me?
as much. I don't think you
Those
can
little
do that
Vine
as
kids
much.
now are like models for blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
like
and
that King Botch, and I mean,
Yeah,
Chris,
he's in
Chris
comedies, like-
Chris D'Elia built his whole
Yeah.
fucking following off of Vine. I remember
Well, like-
following him on Vine, and then it just switched over to Instagram, and then he blew the
Yeah.
fuck up.
like I said, if you're genuinely talented, you're
Yeah.
going to do great, fine. But there's so many people that come and go so quickly.
Yeah.
There's a dude that got a Supreme logo tattooed on his head.
Yeah.
Right on his forehead, and he was waiting for himself to blow up, like, but it just didn't. So now what? You just have
Yeah,
a stupid,
stupid. Yeah,
you just have a
stupid.
stupid Supreme logo tattooed on your forehead, like,
Yeah.
that's dumb. But
No,
everyone's
there's
trying to do that. Everyone's trying to
there's
make that
dudes
quick 5 minutes
that
of
hang
fame.
on,
Yeah.
man. Like I follow that Demolition Ranch guy. That the guy's been doing it like since the beginning, and he was just some dude like lived in Texas. Like, hey, I'm gonna shoot guns at shit, and it was just a younger
I was
guy.
just about to ask you what he does
Yeah,
because I don't actually know that.
So he shoots guns and shit. So he's been doing it for so long. Every one of his videos
He dances.
gets 20 or 30 million views. So he's got like cars. So now he races shit. Now he's got all kinds of trucks. Now he's got
like Dan
massive fucking
Bilzerian.
ranches.
Yeah.
So now he just does whatever he wants. Like he just bought a mansion that was vacant and they're going to build it up. And now he
That's
does
what's
Off the
insane.
Ranch. So now there's a show that like his wives' friends can watch, and it's like them working on their house. Like,
Yeah,
that's
Off
all
the
they
Ranch
do.
is just like the other
Just
side of the
bullshit to
story.
say, yeah, but it's just guns.
That's a really fucking good point because the second that you snowball enough to start getting more and more like content, all of a sudden you're entertaining enough for the entire world to watch you like you're a
different
spectacle.
groups of people.
Yeah, like
But see now everybody's overlapping. So now I also follow Cletus McFarlane's I always send videos to him. This dude's fucking 26 maybe.
Dances, sexy.
No, he doesn't dance. He's
all dancers. That algorithm. He promises it's the algorithm.
he was from like
It's called a fetish.
I'm gonna say I forget where he was from, like Oklahoma or something. Anyway, moved down to Florida to become a lawyer. So while he was down there, he was like, well, his family had a little bit of money, so he had a Corvette, and he was in Florida and was like, hey man, he just started going to these like car events and met these people that film videos. So 13, 20 videos, saw him do it. He put on a fake accent and he said, my name's fucking Cletus McFarlane. And it was like, yeah, brother. And everything's just like America stuff. And it's all like kind of hill. And he was just like, started fucking around. Now they bought a fucking racetrack. So now all these famous people are coming there racing on his racetrack, and they got just ridiculous cars. He doesn't work. He's unlimited amounts of money. So I looked it up and it's like, he's making like 30 grand a month just on YouTube videos of him fucking off with his friends.
It's fucking so
Him and his
crazy.
friends
it's just
just
luck of
fucking
the
off.
draw. Tough, right time, right place.
They bought a racetrack. So he just goes up and it's like him cutting the commercial and he's on the news and he's got his mullet and they're just like, so what are you doing? He's like, well, we're going to fucking send it. We're going to go out there and they're like, this guy looks like a fucking clown. And he's like, perfect interview. Perfect. And just sponsorship. So I was like, that dude was pushing his ass. Now he's not a lawyer.
Yeah,
He
right.
graduated. He's like, fuck that. I got more money than fucking anything.
Fuck that. Now he's gonna be what is it, Cletus?
Loaded. Cletus McFarlane.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
it's
he's
hilarious.
Cletus. Fuck,
Yeah.
Fuck Esquire.
Dude, yeah, dude. It's but then like I said, I was just watching. He's putting on a race coming up in like 2 weeks. He's selling if you want to watch it on pay-per-view, it's like $10. And it's all these people from these other YouTube channels.
Yeah,
that
that's
are like
the thing
car
too.
guys.
Is like now you can do like the YouTube live.
So now,
you can do pay-per-views.
so now all the car guys
It's
are getting
crazy.
together and going and doing each other's shows and then posting that on there, so they're getting double views. So now all these car guys are getting millions and millions. It's just the one dude's just a little fucking bastard. He's just real cocky, but he's like, here's my cars, and there's like 20, cars that not a single one is not less than $100,000. Like, what else do you do?
insanity to
Nothing.
me.
He just goes and acts like an asshole and drives a car around.
The other thing too is how much if you have an interacting social media like fans, like I didn't notice it until we had Sean, the biggest Beavis and Butthead collector. A friend of mine just turned me on and was like, "You got to interview this guy. He's got a crazy story. He was in like a noise band." So.
Explain to what a noise band is. No one else knows, and I didn't know.
The story is insane. And then, but what I noticed was that when he came on the show, we had the most comments in the YouTube, and they were all positive. And they're like, "This is so awesome. Sean's story is so cool." I picked up like 15, 20 subscriptions. Just, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot for a local person. I mean, he's got a big following. So I was like,
and subscriptions are tough because it's just, you're committing to the podcast now.
So it's like, it's not likes and whatnot. It's tough to get the YouTube stuff up, and it's growing a little bit. But I noticed that like he came on there, and then all the Facebook stuff, and then I was just like, holy shit, man. And I'm like, I even said to him, I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're like, you could sell T-shirts and like you can sell them all because like you have over 5,000 people, but it's 5,000 people that want to fuck with your shit. And it's like, if you have something like what that guy does, where like the Cletus McFarland thing, and you have all these people that'll totally support you and back you for more content, dude, you can build an entire empire off of your fan base.
He's building an empire off of it. But now that he just fighting, and like I said, it's just funny because all they do is they're lucky motherfuckers. I mean, they're funny, but he'll just sit there and they started doing this thing. They're like, we just drink fucking Mountain Dew in here. We're going to put some Mountain Dew in the fucking race car. It's going to make it. So they're dumping Mountain Dew in the car like, we love fucking Mountain Dew. And they're always drinking Mountain Dew. So all of a sudden, Mountain Dew sends them shit.
Yeah, now Mountain Dew wants to
Mountain Dew sends them a fridge, and it's like Mountain Dew sent us 50 cases.
Yeah, man.
So they sponsor.
And as much as you want to call it's luck, it's not. It's what we talked about in the beginning of the show. It's
numbers.
It's people.
Game.
People. Yeah. It's people who were like, "Fuck it, man! Like we should be recording this shit." You know how many people say that and then don't do it?
That's what. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's so many people with stupid fucking ideas. Like, let's be honest, they're stupid as hell.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or great.
Who puts Mountain Dew in a car?
Right.
There you go.
There's a million different ideas out there.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is put it online, and there's a demographic for it, I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah.
Listen, the person who makes the most money on YouTube is a fucking tiny little child that is some Asian kid that all he does is open toys.
I did see that.
And plays with toys. And he makes over $10 million a year.
I think my brother bought a GoPro, and he's like, we should try this, Stace.
Let's open some fucking toys.
At this point, I'm ready to just have a GoPro on me at all times, and I'm just going to record my entire life.
But I feel like
something's bound to happen.
I feel like that's what I feel like that's what it'll turn into. I mean, the whole video game realm of where we're now.
Reality TV show is literally going to be just me making coffee.
Last weekend, there was a dude that was on a Twitch stream, like a stream, and he got drunk and fell asleep. And this guy never made anything. It was just fat guys like that. And he never made anything. And it's like, and I saw it on TikTok. And the guy's just like, yo, this guy fell asleep and woke up to 1,500 people on his thing, on like watching him. And he wakes up and he was just like,
that's badass.
He's looking, and everybody's giving him money. So the guy like falls asleep. He's not making any money. Wakes up and he's just like, looking. He's just like, what the fuck?
And then the reaction was getting more money.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, did you sleep well? And all of a sudden he's getting all this money. And the guy's just like, oh my God. Like, what do you do then? You sleep every fucking time? But it was funny because it was just one of those things. Someone saw it and goes, yo, this fat guy's sleeping. And then this snowballed. And then everybody just started throwing money at him.
I say it all the time. It's just, you put it out there and it's luck of the draw, man. Somebody, if the right person sees it or the right people see it, it's just like, it doesn't even have to be somebody prominent. It could just be random people that just think that particular thing's funny, like in that case.
Yeah.
Probably 40 people probably hopped on that and started commenting and sending money, so then it just drove it to the top of whatever algorithm it was on. Now 40 more people saw it.
Trending.
160 people saw it, and now it just multiplied.
But it was hilarious. Just some fat guy sleeping. And he woke
I would
up.
watch that just to be like, this is funny. Like, I was just fucking hilarious. With this dude. Where do you see, where are you guys trying to take things to the next level where you're trying to do different stuff? Or like, what's your plan going forward, kind of where you guys are at? Because you're what, 2-3 years in?
We are like a little over a year, and we just got a lot done. We're just going to continuously just increase the quality of the stuff and the turnover. Like, I don't want to have to take, I guess to a degree, I don't want to have to take pre-orders for stuff. The reality is that it makes it easier for me financially to do that. But as far as like growth, we just want to work with more artists and musicians. We want to just continue to do what we're doing, but just continue to have more quality material. I mean, the bottom line is, like, we're just doing this shit. Like, we're literally just doing the shit that we find fun.
Yeah.
And other people are seeming to also think that stuff is fun. So we're just going to keep doing that. Like, we don't really have the thing that's worked so far, and this will probably have to change at a certain point if we continue to grow. We've been very organic and we've been very impulsive, where like we'll just do something fun that night randomly if some good content comes out of it. We're always creating and always bringing like cameras, or always doing. I mean, we have a camera at the touch of our finger at any point.
Yeah.
Which brings it right back to that is we are getting content almost all the time. You know what I mean? So, I guess to answer your question, we don't. What are we going to do? We have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, in the next year, I plan on growing. I know we're going to grow. As far as like marketing and stuff, like that stuff's kind of dry as far as I'm concerned. But like, we're going to promote our stuff. We're going to make new stuff. We're going to make new merch. We're going to continue to work with artists and musicians and photographers and maybe even new people. I have no idea. Like, there's people with all kinds of different talents. But the idea is that we're just going to let it keep riding out. We're just going to do whatever we feel is fun. And like I said before, like, we've said yes to almost every single thing that's come across our plate, and it has been super fun for us because we've met a ton of fucking cool people, and we've gotten a lot of really interesting content that we would have never gotten outside of that. So, I mean, that's the truthful answer. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. We just kind of wing it, and that seems to be the most fun way of doing it.
No, even when I stopped working on the clothing and just kind of started simplifying it and putting enough out that it was still going, and I would sell stuff that I knew would brand the business, but I haven't gotten into anything that I've wanted to create with the clothing in a long time. I think the last thing I did was the Guy Fieri t-shirt. Was the Fuck Hipsters Guy Fieri t-shirt. So I haven't done that in a long time, and then now I'm starting to pick and choose, like you know what I mean, like where it's like now I want to get back into that lane where I'm like, I just want to do shit I want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, but I've structured it and I've opened up an avenue, but now I can go back to, cool, man. So like, I want to come up with like a cool, like a 70s summer vibe. And it's like, I want to do my own thing, but it's like, I didn't learn how to do that until I'm doing what you did. Like, you have to just fucking wing it.
Yeah,
and then you find out what kind of rhythm you want to do. And then when you get into figuring out, like, when you guys are 5 years down the road from now, like, you're not even gonna have to think. You're just gonna be like, what do you guys want to do this summer? And then you're like, well, how about this idea? And then it's not, all right, well, what are we gonna do? Now you're just creating.
Yeah.
And then that's when it gets to a really awesome
I think
point.
that's a good point that you made, is we're a year in. So like we still have we don't have a booked schedule where I'm like sitting here doing a podcast every fucking hour with new guy. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm nobody. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy in Allentown that makes fucking clothing and
you're out there, man. You're connected to a lot of people that I see, and a lot of people they speak highly of you, man.
Yeah, well, we're getting there, and I appreciate that, though.
Yeah.
But the idea is, like, we have enough time and enough people that we haven't worked with yet to just be like, yeah, sure, let's fucking do it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, I'm sure like we're gonna be like booked, and we're gonna get a little bit smarter about it, making collections that are specific to like seasons and stuff. Like, I feel like that stuff's important if you're gonna take it really seriously.
But then that's when it starts getting difficult, because like you have to work backwards.
Right.
Like my summer shit should be done.
It doesn't work with
my summer shit should be done.
It does not work with impulsivity at all.
No.
Which is what I'm like. If I make a design, it's like, and my truthfully my partners hate it. Like, I'll make a design, I'll be super fucking gung ho about it, and it's like it's hitting the feed immediately. It doesn't even like, I don't even think, I'm just like, I want to share this. Like, I started this whole thing because I wanted to share my art, and my art was something that I liked doing stuff on canvases, but I like it even more when I see somebody else wearing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, like, if somebody's willing to wear a piece of clothing that I made, a product of like my mind, no matter how simple it is, like, that's like a super like, it's a big like, it's like, it's
super fulfilling to
I'm like,
to take it out of your head, put it on a t-shirt, and then
you actually want to wear it. Like,
Yeah.
that's what makes it super cool for me. So like, yeah, I mean, like right now we're not insanely busy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm busy, but if I were to quit my job right now, I would have a lot of work to do to fill that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I guess what I'm getting at is I guess in like the next few years, it'll probably get a little bit more structured.
The structure just comes over time.
But again, I really like the idea of not having structure. I think that every brand out there feels like they need to have structure, and it needs to be super corporate. And I think the whole concept of balloons the whole time has been, it doesn't have to be like that. And I think that there's a market for just winging it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like it's not a good business model, but I feel like in a world where like a corporate business model is the status quo, and you can still be smart about it, but still be impulsive. Like, I can still make something, put it out there, and make it a smart product and something that's cool for people, especially now that people want things in the snap of a finger. If Amazon can drop something and have it delivered to your door in a day, why can't I make a t-shirt and have it delivered in the next week when I made it 2 days ago?
Yeah. The other thing too is doing it the way you're doing it, you start building confidence. You start building confidence, and then when you start, like if you all those t-shirts are so different. Like the wolf one came from an inside joke with a friend. It's like the blue one was one of the very first designs. The working class one was when I was working at a tree business, and I was just doing ball breaking. I was working class.
Those are my favorite designs too.
Always will be.
The ones that are the ones that came from just like you bullshitting around are always the coolest designs, in my opinion. There's some cool designs where people get like a little bit like political. That's not my thing, but like there's some cool designs where people get creative.
Yeah. But
the ones that I find are like the coolest, where you're like, I don't really know what the fuck that means, but like it looks cool and it seems like it's important to them, or they wouldn't have made it. Like those are the ones that I think are like pretty neat. Like when I walk in here, I saw the designs. I'm like, those are fucking cool. Like I wonder what that means.
A lot of my friends tattoo artists, but then that's the thing too, is I was never able to draw. I was never able to to like be an artist. So for me to have the privilege of like working like with Rizard, I worked with him for so long, where we would be texting back and forth, and he eventually got to the point where he knew what I wanted, where our brain waves were connected. So it was like I was explaining to somebody, and it was almost like I was getting to draw through him, and then to have the whole thing made. Like there were some times where I didn't care. Like I try and tell people, like when I was doing this, I wasn't ever paying attention to the back end. I am now, and I'm turning this into a business, and I am making money now. And it's like, but when I was doing that, I was just obsessed with creating. I was just completely 100% obsessed with just, let's do another one, do another one. Then there's shit in the back I didn't sell, and I'm like, I don't care. I want to do another one. Then I'm trying to do one every month. And then at one point I held myself to a standard where I was like, you need to have a new t-shirt out every month. And I look back at that now, and I'm like, you're crazy. That was so much work.
That's what I was getting at earlier when I said you had to hold yourself to a certain amount of like what's reasonable, because that's exactly how I'm. Exactly that same thing. You make something, you see people wear it. You might not sell out of all of them, but then you're like, I want to make something else. I want to see who wants like I want to see who is willing to buy this one. You make a new design, and you have another, say, 10 people that buy it. You're like, okay, well, maybe that one wasn't as good. And then you make a camouflage one or whatever. Like that was one of the first drops we ever did. Was the balloons, and it just had this like custom camo that a friend of mine had made for me, and everybody wanted it. I'm like, really? Like this is before I even had like developed any type of like actual following. Like we have a following that is pretty like good at this point, where like I feel like they're engaged and they care and they like our stuff. But like at that point that wasn't there, and I was like super taken back that I was like, wait, you do? You want 2 balloons with camo in them? Like, right on. All right, here, I'll fucking make it. When
I first started selling my t-shirts, I started selling them out of a bar. I lived above the bar at the time. And people would come up, and I had like a spare bedroom that I turned into a shop, and I had them on hangers, and I just thought people felt bad for me, so they would buy clothes. And then like
bum that lives upstairs.
And then
I was the like, t-shirt guy.
I was like, dude, you sold over 100 t-shirts. Like, when is this confidence coming? And then I'd be like, I think I have something here. And then I was like, and then once I started moving shit, I was like, fuck it. And I had a little bit of money left on a credit card. I trademarked the fucking name, and boom, done. And then that was it.
If you don't mind me asking, what was that process like for you? Because mine was grueling.
It was awful. I was getting sober at the time. I was dating a heroin addict, and I lived above a bar. And then I had to figure out
trademark
on the internet when I was 28. So
it's a lot easier now.
I'm sure it is, but mine was even grueling. So I
did use LegalZoom, and I paid way too much money for LegalZoom.
That's what got me.
Or mycorporation.com.
Yeah.
I forget what the hell
I would never use LegalZoom again for doing that.
I honestly
saying that like LegalZoom's listening. What the fuck? I paid way too. I paid like almost $2,000 to $3,000 for something that then later on my friend did, because he's like, look, I'll handle it, because he's into stuff like that. So he was like, I just want to see if I can do what a lawyer can do. Yeah, and he did it all, and it cost me less.
Yes, it's one of those things. But if you're starting out a business and you don't know that, you have to pay for it. Unless you know somebody that goes, yo, I know how to do this.
My brother didn't know how to do it. I didn't know.
I tell people in court all the time. People are like, oh man, I went to go, like, say, file for an expungement. Like, yo, a lawyer charged me like $600, and I go, cool, the paperwork costs $100. And if you like literally look at the paperwork and you do a little bit of studying, you can do it for $100, but they charge you $6.
What happened to me was I was going through, I think it was just like Facebook or something. I must have been like Googling trademarking, whatever. So of course one of those advertisements came up. The advertisement says, hey, file this for X amount of dollars. It said like $169 or something. I go, okay, that's manageable, whatever. Click on it. I submit the trademark. I type in like the verbiage that I want. It does like a full-blown like worldwide search. It does the whole...
and you can pay more to get it sooner.
So I did... Exactly. So I did all that. I'm like, all right,
Did you pay extra to get it right away?
Yeah. So I did.
Dude, I ran the business for a year without knowing what was going to happen.
Oh, listen, this is what the part that like was super grueling for me is I did that, right? And then I find out later that the lady from the fucking law office or whatever that handles the trademarking or whatever the hell it is, calls me and she goes, hey, like, which app or whatever did you use for this? She goes, did you use a lawyer? I go, no, I didn't. She goes, I can tell. I go, why is that? She goes, well, first of all, the verbiage is wrong. The worldwide search that they did, they only did blah, 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 blah.
Oh, no.
Yada, yada, yada. So I paid like $400 to use this service for, in my head, it was like all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
I'm like, it's done. And then they call me. I had to redo the whole thing. I had to pay a lawyer $350 to do it correctly. And at this point, I had been using the logo for months, months and months and months. And I just told them straight up. I told them the honest truth. I don't know if it ever made a difference. I was like, I've been using this since February. I assume that means that I can use, they like backdate that kind of like that ownership of it maybe.
Yeah.
If it hasn't been utilized yet. But the idea was I went through probably 3 times as much money as I had to and a lot more time because it took over a year for that to finally get filed. I literally just got the certificate in the mail.
Yeah.
And I had filed that I think December of last
and you know
year.
What the motherfucker is too is if you don't pay attention to that and you don't follow their instructions that they don't remind you about.
Fuck no. They say you have till this day, and if you don't figure this out, you have to start all over.
I lost it halfway through the process. A friend of mine told me that it was like she was like in 2011 or 2015 or some shit. That's when you have to call and renew it. So then I was like in the back of my head, and I kept saying to her like, "Hey, we should double check." But then we've moved so many times, I misplaced the paperwork. So I was just like, "All right." So then I finally had a friend of mine, and he looked it up, and he was like, "Hey, you don't have a trademark, and like Never Again is out." And I was just like, "What?" And then I was like, okay, like, what do we do? And I'm like, worst case scenario, we have to change the name. And I'm like, well, what will we change the name to? And then I'm like, well, you've worked for the last 5 to 6 years or 10 years at that point on this. What the fuck are you going to do? Yeah. And then my buddy who was interested in looking into all this, he handled the whole thing for me, which would have been thousands of dollars that a lawyer would have paid. And then what ended up happening is there was a time period where it was open and somebody took it, and then they had to renew, and then they didn't. And then the moment my buddy looked into renewing it, that guy didn't renew it, and we just picked it right back up. Like it was just shit luck.
I mean, that was my biggest...
It was shit luck. And he was like, dude, he's like, I did it. And then the lady was trying to say that it wasn't good enough, but then he knew the verbiage to tell her.
Yeah.
And then they just like let the whole thing go. But
that was my biggest fear.
I had so much built into it already that they said that I would have almost gotten it even if somebody had the trademark, because I had so much search behind me. Like you had the imprint was so big behind me.
You guys had a trail of
that even if somebody took it, I would get it, because it's such a weird thing. There was a company that was gloves, and it was never cold again. Mm-hmm. And like that was the only thing that was kind of close to apparel, but they said it didn't mix. So it's like if this guy
they didn't overlap at all.
Yeah. So then this guy also didn't use it for clothing, because it's like it's a weird name to have for a clothing company or anything you're actually trying to sell.
Yeah.
But
yeah, nothing says I want to buy this repeatedly.
Yeah.
Never
don't do it.
Like
you might as well just go, hey, don't buy this.
There's a cafe that I always go to, and the lady that runs it cooks there, and she like wants to do a cook-off, and she's like, if you beat me, she's like, we'll call it the Never Again sandwich. And I'm like, we're gonna have to come up with something better than that. But,
hey, you never know. People, do you like spicy food?
I do.
Just load it with spicy. It's called the Never Again. It's a sale, because you'll have all the fucking dudes going in there. I think they're Tommy Tough.
Yeah, I can take it. I can take it.
Right?
Yeah, they do have a lot of like spices and stuff up there. But that whole trademark and all that shit, like it's fucking crazy.
I tell people all the time, I say never use a random advertisement on Facebook.
I'm getting nervous, like I should check mine.
Yeah,
I have it in its own folder now, and it's like I learned my lesson the fucking hard way. I could have been fucked, man. I would have and then I was would I have just kept doing it and just wait and see if somebody's going to send me a cease and
use
desist?
Use a different name.
Yeah, but they don't. That's
what would you have gone with? What alternative would you have gone with?
Again.
They don't.
Is that what it is?
No, I don't know.
You never even really gave it any thought?
I started working on a name and I was like, you can't. I'm like, you can't fucking change it. I'm like, you have to figure this out.
Once your heart's set on it, you're like, I got it.
Companies don't even send cease and desist anymore. They just sue you.
Yeah.
So it's changed because I was using, I want to come up with a different DBA because when I have my own company, I had a name and then I realized that they went alphabetical. They had a list of bail people in the jail and it was alphabetical. And I was like, well, I'm at S. That was pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to come up with, and I did fucking AAA All-Star Bail Bond. So I literally took the Converse logo, that has like the stitching in a circle and the stars. I took the stitching out and made them fucking bars. Changed the way that everything is, made it look different, changed the lettering and everything. And I took a picture of it to show somebody, and my fucking phone from Google Goggles clicked on it and took me to the Converse website. And I was like, whoa.
Really?
Like, that's fucked up. So I called an attorney and I said, my phone is taking me to their website. Like, how far do you have to be off before then the guy's just like, that's not far enough. Like, it's got to be 70.
They probably, especially
he's like
a brand
70% different. So he said, he's like, yo, I said, well, I'm just a bail company in fucking Allentown. They're not going to, he goes, no, if that comes across anybody's desk or they see that, you're just going to get sued. And I said, well, I'll just do it until they file something. And she goes, there's no filing. You get sued.
There's almost to the degree that I think that even dimensions play a role. Like the circle that you used.
Yeah.
It like probably is loaded into knowing Converse, the size that they are, they probably have every little fucking thing.
It's picked out.
Exactly.
It was arranged
and they got
kind
money
of the
to
same.
Dump in that like.
Yeah, they don't care about you. They'll just sue you and you're done.
Yeah, it's hey, like this guy, fuck him. Hey, let's just send this to him. Like,
yeah. You're fucked.
Which kind of fucked up considering how much money they make. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
But I mean, I changed a lot of it.
I think
but no.
the other thing too with the trademark is when my friend Andy did it, he said that like you have to stay active. So like I have to knowingly go after somebody who is using Never Again for clothing to show that I'm want it. And there is a girl, which I would never do it because it has nothing. She's selling dresses.
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with it. But I almost have to tell her like, hey, you can't do this anymore. And then like he's like, there's so many things behind the back end where like you have to make attempts to show that you want to keep the name. Mm-hmm. Other than just renewing it, like it's fucking weird.
I think the biggest thing that they're looking for is that you're active. Yeah. Because you know how many fucking names and trademarks come across their desk where it's just somebody trademarks something and then 2 months later they just stop.
Yeah.
So I mean, to a degree, you have to show that you're actively using
That's
it.
Why it's impossible to get websites.
Which is you're right. Which is why they give you which is why they ask you all the questions about like when did you start it?
Yeah.
What is your website? What is your Instagram? What is your whatever? Like those are questions that they asked me because they wanted to make sure that if anytime anything came across their plate, that they would want to make sure that they show this has been active as of this date.
Yeah.
Look at them. The foundation's built. They're still actively using it. You have no, I guess, wiggle room. You can't use that, which is, if you're running a business and you want it trademarked anyways, cool. Like you should be doing that anyways, unless you just want to trademark something just because. But you know what I mean? Like, they look for that, like, I guess the word consistency, like I used earlier.
Yeah.
Like they just look for like, are you fucking using it or not?
Yeah. Like I said, leaving the imprint, like where I talked to a lawyer and I think I had talked to one over the phone and it cost maybe $100 just because of how long we were on. But then that's where I kind of went through all that with him where he's like, I'm like, dude, am I going to lose this? And I'm like panicking. I was working at the deli at the time and I'm like in my car and, I could tell my boss was irritated and then like, but I'm like on the phone with a fucking lawyer and I'm like, you don't understand, like this has cost me relationships. It cost, you know what I mean? Like this comes before everything, man. Like I don't care.
This is your fucking
about like
brain baby.
I care
man.
about working for you, but in the sense is this is how I get out of working for you.
Put it this way, I could find another deli to work at.
Yeah.
There is not another one of these brain children. You know what I mean? Like that's how I see it. It's your thought is something that it sounds crazy to say that legalizing it legitimizes your thought.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it makes it very, like, when I got that certificate, I literally just got the certificate, like...
Frame that shit.
A month ago, yeah.
Everybody gets it, frame it.
Well, I was going to frame it, but then on the back is the instructions on what you have to do to like renew.
Open it up again.
Photocopy.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. When I got that certificate, I'm like, fuck yeah, I finally fucking did it because this has been one.
I remember when I got it, I was still working at the bar. And you know, I was just trying to get out of there, and I was sober at the time, and like I was just trying to get all this shit done, and like it was fucking crazy. And then I remember going out to the mail and seeing like the fucking thing, and I opened it up and I was like, this is fucking real. It just said never again, and it was like, you trademarked that.
Mine is like this like gold badge and this like the picture. I'm like, that's my logo.
I'm literally getting nervous that I misplaced it. I know where it is, but like
that's got to be around here somewhere.
That fucked me up when that happened.
Yeah, that shit fucking freaks you out. You get all angsty and you're like,
and then turning it into an LLC because it wasn't that in the beginning, and now it is that. And that's
we're going through that now. Which luckily my partner in Chicago he did that he worked for ADP as well. That's how I actually met him. But he lives in Chicago, which is why we're rooted up in 2 different places.
That's good though.
Yeah, he set up every small business for ADP. He would move them from sole prop to LLC to corp, whatever the case may be. And he knows how to do all that shit. So I was like, dude, run it, do whatever you got to do. So he knows all the fucking business, legalities, all of that stuff. So thank fucking God, because if I had to do it, it'd be a shit show.
Yeah, it was a shit show for me. Yeah. I mean, my tax guy would be like, you got to do this and that. And I'm like, what? And like, it was just, I didn't understand it. And then I think when somebody told me I had to have an LLC, but I didn't know. And then if you don't file it correctly and I'm using my parents' address, if something happened, they could take my parents' house. And I'm like, what the fuck is all this? I'm like, I just want to make t-shirts.
I just want to make sure. It's like, what? Yeah, it's insane, the ins and outs of it, man. Like, you got to really understand the benefits of being an LLC versus a corp. And you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that people are just like, oh, it's just a legitimacy type of thing. Like, oh, a corp means that I'm a corporation now. It's like, yeah, there's taxes, all kinds of different fucking things that go into it. Like, you got to really look into what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, it made me want to. I mean, I started going to. I mean, the classes were pointless, but I started taking. Well, they weren't pointless, but I took business classes at NAC to learn more, and then it kind of just turned into like from that, and then it's like buying books, and I'm like, I don't go to school and I don't read books, and if I'm doing it, because like. That's when you start finding out that it's what you really want to do. Like when I was taking night classes, working full time and running the clothing company, and people are like, hey, dude, like, there's a lot on your plate. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is what I want to do.
Really? Because I feel fine.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't definitely not do any of that now.
I mean, that's a good point, because I felt overwhelmed at my job before I even started Balloons. I would like leave work and I'd feel overwhelmed about my job because I was investing emotionally so much into my job because it was my primary income and it was the thing that I cared most about, because it's like, okay, well, that's what I'm doing 8 hours a day. Now it's like I leave work and I have all of these other little things that I'm doing.
It's a rat race. It's a rat race. As soon as you get out of work,
and I don't want to say that. Yeah, right. Like I don't say that. I don't want to say that I don't care about my job, because obviously I do, because it's how I make a living. But like, I leave work and I'm like, okay, on to the next thing, because we got shit to do, and then I get done, and I'm like,
it's crazy.
And it actually helps me do my regular job better, because in insurance sales, like, you can tell if somebody's trying to fucking force feed you insurance, right? Like, have you ever been like had a producer or broker call you and they're trying to sell you insurance or whatever? You can tell if they're hungry for fucking sales, and it's like with this, like, when I care about this thing outside of that, and it's just kind of like, hey, I'll take what I can get as I get it. I've been selling more insurance because I don't give a shit. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna send this to you. Like, you have like a couple days. Like, if you want to do it, great. If not, that's cool too. Like, I'll talk to you in a few days. I'll follow up.
Everything's a sales pitch. Yeah. So if the more relaxed you seem, the more open up you'll be.
The more likely they're not going to be like.
There was a dude who used to call my business every month, and it was so fucking annoying. Yeah. And his pitch was so stupid. And then after he left, the next guy said the exact same pitch. And I was like, I thought that was that dude's like specific, but he would sit there and come on. He's like, hey man, like,
I thought that idiot came up with that on his own.
He's like, you gotta buy like pens.
Yeah, right.
He's like, you gotta buy like promo stuff like pens and hand sanitizer, all this stuff. And then I'd be like, nah, man, like, I'm a really small business, like, I don't have extra money for that shit. And he's like, all right, well, listen, let me just go through this pitch, and I'm gonna go through it really quick. I'm gonna tell you everything we got, and then when it's all said and done, I'm gonna tell you a joke, and I'm gonna hang up. And I'm like, okay. And then you do the whole thing and tell me a joke, and I go, ha. And then hang up. And then he was there for like a year. And then some other guy was just like, hey man, what's going on? I'm a sales rep. And I go, whatever happened to the other guy? It's like, oh no, he's no longer here. But listen. And I go, I don't want anything. He's like, all right, let me just go through this thing. And I was like, oh, so that's what your company teaches you, how to like say that? I go, you know that I was annoyed when the other guy did it? Now I'm super fucking annoyed.
Just because you're addressing that it's a pitch doesn't make me more open to the idea that it's a pitch.
No, I don't like you anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
selling t-shirts made me so good at sales, and I didn't know it until this year when I had to start building other avenues of monetary because I don't live off of the clothing. I have 10 different things going on, which I built over the years because I knew one wasn't enough. But then like my buddy was like, look, he's like, you're so good at sales. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But what you're saying is I'm so good at sales because people would be like, hey man, I want to buy a t-shirt. And then like, I remember we went to a convention and my buddy sells cars. So he's good at sales. So he's like, hold on a second. And he goes, watch this. So some guy walked by and he's like, yo man, he's like, you know what? You look good in this t-shirt. And then he talked him into buying it. But I never did anything like that. I was always just like, hey man, you like my stuff? And I wouldn't pressure anyone. I'd be like, okay, like, do you want one? And they'd be like, yeah, it's cool. And I'd be like, all right. And then I'd tell them about it and they'd buy it. But like, I developed this super laid back like sales pitch where it's I didn't pressure the person and then like you start learning how to sell people off of emotion and then like you start learning these things. But if you have that laid back sales attitude, it's 10 times easier than just trying to jam shit down people's throat.
I think the biggest thing that you just said is and this might not go for everybody. What I notice is you're going to be able to sell your clothing brand better than anybody in this world.
Absolutely.
So like if I'm sitting here selling insurance for somebody I don't give a fuck about and I can still sell it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm talking about something that I legitimately care passionately about, you're going to feel that. 1, 2, I'm going to ooze confidence because if I'm willing to even sit here and take this much time to make the brand, then I have to at least believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, it's going to flop regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like in your case, it's like, I will sell the fuck out of these because I'm going to tell you exactly what this is, why it's fucking tight, and you're going to agree with me because it just simply is. It's a cool thing, and you're going to agree with me. If I would tell you that and I'd say, here's one for $15, do you mind supporting me? Most people would be like, okay, like, yeah, sure. Like, like you know what I mean? Like, I go to these pop-ups and I literally tell people, they go, how much are the shirts? I go, I don't know. What do you think? Like, name a price. I don't care. Like, I just want you in it because you look like a cool dude. Like, you fit the demographic. So, like, you tell me what you want to pay for it, and that's what you get it for.
I've had people come up and they're like, I only have $10. I'm like, take it. They're like, what? I'm like, take it. Just take it.
Like, if you're, like, I literally tell people, I go, if it looks like somebody that I think is somebody that I want in it, I go, name your price, man. You can have it for fucking free if you want. I wouldn't say that, but I say, like, I don't know, name a price, man. It's yours. You pay whatever you think it's worth. And they're like, okay, here's $20. I'm like, cool, because I was gonna ask for 15, so thank you. But also in addition to that, if they would have said 5, I would have been like, cool, man. Like I'm just glad that you're willing to pay money for it at all. So thanks. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. And I'll wrap this up because I know you got to go. And I'll tell, like after this is over, like you can. This is a revolving door. We could do this for hours. And I want to bring somebody on with another. Either if you have another partner, if we get another clothing company on here, and that would be a really awesome
next
show.
time that the guys come in, next time that the Chicago guys fly in, that would be a good one because I got two. I got two partners out in Chicago that they're like the dynamic duo for me out there. I can do quite a bit here myself, but I couldn't do any of this without them. So this is my shout out to them. They'll complain if I don't do it. But seriously though, they do quite a bit out there, so they would fucking love this. Man. Like they would have a field day.
No, we it's really like what I was going to say is the amount that I've learned from starting a clothing company and what it's turned into, and then now that I'm paying rent with a podcast and learning business and all that, and seeing how early you guys are on, and like watching your social media and doing all that, like you have no clue how motivated I am now to get back into selling apparel full time.
Dude, let it rip, man.
I always like going back, and I've had like M New on. We could do one with M New as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like when I have had her on, like I get back to like what my core was, which was t-shirts. And then it's like now talking to you, it's like, holy shit, man. Like you learned so much about this. You could definitely 360 now, do all this. And the best part about it is now you can move and not make any mistakes. Yeah. And I think that's super important going back to what we started with this whole thing is you have to fuck up in the beginning. Like there's no way there's no way you're getting through all of this. There's no way that he started that bail bond company and didn't have a ton of things fucking go wrong. But it's like once you start learning how to navigate the ship and then you start being able to move through things, like it's incredible how far you can go. But if you do not take any steps forward into that little voice in the back of your head, I mean, we had Five and Dime on, what was it, 16 years? Yeah. It was just bothering him.
I watched that one before. I think when you guys first dropped it, I watched the snippets, but then I wanted to actually listen to it before coming on here. And yeah, what they started, I think he started like 16 years old or something.
That's crazy to open a business at 16. But then
or to even fathom that at 16. When I was 16, I'm like, okay, I'm going to maybe get my driver's license and hit on this girl.
I think my
I
parents
hope she likes me.
Somehow we have to get a girl naked.
Yeah, right. Like that's what I was like. Maybe hopefully
my parents are forcing me to play baseball.
Yeah, right. This guy's trying to build a fucking. What did he move out to? Like I think it was like California. Or where was it?
They went out to California because his cousin is the guy who runs Fucked, and then
really?
And then, like, when that guy kept, and like, that was the biggest thing I wanted to take out of that podcast. And I'm like, this guy never, that was just in the back of his head. Go, open the shop, open the shop, open the shop.
They didn't have to at him for years.
Yeah.
And then they just fucking did it. And like,
think about how many people who don't do it, and that just eats at them, and they're fucking miserable.
And that, in closing, is a perfect example of why we started this. We had heard that so many times that we just pushed people. We literally had pushed people by saying, dude, how many things have you wanted to do since you were a kid or younger, whatever the case may be, whatever age? Fucking do them, because you are going to feel so unfulfilled if that eats at you until the time that you're on your deathbed. Like, not to get morbid, but like that's the reality of it. Like,
it is.
Just do it, man. Like, it takes an extra, even if you take an extra hour out of your day each day just to tap into that, you're going to accomplish something that you're proud of at a minimum.
And keeping like-minded people. Like, I always go back to Zach and JM over at Finishers and what those guys have done with that, with just taking the risk of doing the 10th plan at school and then growing it to where now they're like,
I know a lot of people that go there now.
Their students are globally known.
Yeah, I know a lot of wrestlers that I wrestled with started going there. Just in case any of them are watching this, Cam Scalio was going there for a really long time. Yeah. And he kept telling me to go, but I'm just fucking lazy at this point. As far as like the physical aspect goes, but like there's that place is blowing up too. Like they
opened 3 or 4 schools. Zach and Jam used to sleep in the fucking dojo.
That's crazy.
Like and then like now where it's at a point where it's like they both pay rent with their business, and it's like, you know, and then like JM always said, he's like, there were so many people that told me like what I was doing was fucking stupid. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, you know, my parents eventually gave up and then they just supported me. And now I call them and I'm like, I called them last week and I was like, I'm paying rent. That was the first thing I said to him when we got here. I said,
that's such a milestone, though.
I said, all I want to do is pay the fucking rent. But that's the thing too, is you have to set these fucking goals and you have to fucking go after them. And then once you get there, you set another one. And it's like, we've both seen the progression of this show. It's totally fucking different than the way it is. People are hitting us to come on now. I used to have to beg, not beg, but what's a podcast? What do you mean? And then, we'll come down.
Pitch it to them. And they're just like, well, I don't know.
What's crazy is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm saying that's what I was when we first started. It's just people don't.
You had to reach out to other people.
Podcasts are more prominent, but even so, even some people are like, no one's going to want to talk, or no one's going to want to hear what I have to say.
When I post this on my page, without sounding like facetious or anything, like I have a lot of friends that follow that page, a lot of creative people that they're itching to talk about their stuff. Same way that I was excited to do this. You know what I mean? Like, they're itching to talk about their music. They're itching to talk about it.
I'll talk to all of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there are hundreds of people that follow us that would be like itching to drive down here and fucking talk about it for an hour.
That's why I didn't want to pigeonhole this. That's why I wanted to have somebody like you on, and then have a skate shop on, and then we have an interview coming up with my buddy who he runs a lot and he just does massive amounts of marathons, and I'm like, well, I asked him, I was like, I want you to do the show. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, there's so much motivation that I can get out of you in a show, because the shit that you do, I want to know how you get up every morning and run that much.
He's not motivating me.
There's nothing you can say in this podcast to get me.
I'm not running.
That's a good point, though, man. Like, pigeonholing yourself, putting yourself in a box, like, that's how I feel the same way, where I said, like, we don't really have, like, when people say, like, what's our demographic or what is it, like, the Balloons demographic has been just things that I liked when I was a kid. Yeah. But like, as far as people that we support and the things that we like share and stuff, like, we of course have like a specific niche that we target, because I want to talk to people that have like-minded things with me, but I want to see what the fuck people are doing all the time. I don't care if it's cooking. I don't care if it's balancing on one fucking foot, doing jumping jacks naked in the street. Like, I really don't give a shit. Like, if you're fucking proud of it and you are like doing it for a living, like, that's cool in my book. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, if we would just do the same shit over and over, it's like sometimes I'll just book a bunch of shit, and then we'll do like 5 businesses in a row, and then I'll just say to him, like, we got to do because we haven't done a solo show in a while, and they're one of my favorites. We're just bored and tired and me and him just fuck off for an hour and get half drunk or sometimes. And it's like, but those shows are fun to do. And it's like, and then it's like, all right, well, we should have a musician on, because we haven't had a musician on in a while, but then we want to put the musician back there and film it. And like, it's really grown into like a thing where it's kind of like how I was creating t-shirts, where it's like, I can just go wherever the fuck I want with it. I don't want to be locked into where, you know, we can't say fuck. No, you know, it's like, if Bill wants to come on and smoke weed the whole time, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't ever want to have handcuffs on any of this shit, because I want to be able to do whatever the fuck I wanted, which is where I was when you were doing it with t-shirts. And it's like that attitude to do whatever the fuck you want. And you want to go over here and you want to make windbreakers, fine. You want to come over here and you want to do anime stuff and just do totally different shit than what you're doing before. I think it's important to do that, because if you make it too corporate and you start following what other people are doing,
then it doesn't feel like that creative outlet you're looking for in the first place.
And what they're doing is going to die, and you're just catching up to when they die, and then when they die, you're dead with them.
Exactly.
So it's like, what's the point of copying? What's the point of taking the short road? What's the point of trying to do what somebody else is doing? You can, like, believe me, this whole thing is influenced from Joe Rogan. It's like, it's what I showed people I wanted to do. Hey, I want that look. I'm not trying to do what Joe Rogan does. I don't want to do what Joe Rogan does. I want to do my own thing in this never again thing and make it its own thing. And that's why I like having different shows and on it.
Inspirations and references are important in general. And you're going to find another podcast probably another next year that you'll take a bit from that you really fucking like, in terms of like maybe the way it's laid out or the way that they talk or the way that they talk about things in particular. If I sat here and said that I didn't pick and utilize different pieces of art from other artists, I'd be a fucking liar. I think that that's what it is. I think that everything's linked together, right? So you could watch 45 different podcasts, be inspired by Joe Rogan, and then have bits and pieces of you and 27 other interviewers all in one place, or podcasts all in one place. Yeah. But it creates is your ambiance. This is your place.
It's fun being influenced. Like, I used to watch like graffiti documentaries that they had on Netflix, and then I would just get like high and I'd start watching this, and I'd be watching. I was like, I can do a t-shirt that way. I can do a t-shirt this way. And then you take that, and then you take your ideas, and then you make that into your own. And it's a really freeing experience to have, and watching you do it, and the motivation I got and the energy just from us doing this together. Like, I really want to start like working and collabing and we should definitely do a pop-up down here. And that's what's awesome, is because I know you're going to be like, let's fucking go.
I already did. I already said it. Like, let's fucking go. Like, that stuff's cool. Like, that's to me, the organic, I say it all the time. People message me and they say, hey, like, you want to work together, whatever. Like, sure, like, I'm always down to work, but like,
it couldn't have been easier to book you on this.
Yeah, like, let's have a fucking conversation. I don't even care if you have anything really to offer me in the conversation, but like, at least like tell me who you are as a person, what you like to do. Like, coming here, I now know 500% more than I would have had just going through your page or looking at your website. Like, you know what I mean? And now it's like, I'll 100% do a collaboration with these guys because they're fucking rad. And people don't realize that. They're like, I get it, like, it's hard over the social media and stuff, but like, I don't know, my phone number's on the page. You could call me and be a stranger.
I try and meet up and talk to everybody before they come on here. Yeah. And like, we had a very small conversation, and I told him, I'm like, I talked to him, it'll be an easy one. He's done podcasts before. I went up and met the owners of Seven Sirens today. And like, it was a lot of energy. There was a lot of back and forth. And I was like, this. And then I said to him, I was like, this will be easy. And he's like, what? And I'm like, we pretty much did the podcast. I was like, sometimes I don't ask too many questions because it disrupts what the interview would become. But when you know that, like, there's that connection and that clicking in the vibe, it's so important before you come on, instead of just doing it cold. So I think, like, if you get a strange vibe right away, you're like, that guy's a little. I drove to Philly to meet this girl who's got this little boutique, and she kills it. But it's like, if I wouldn't have done that, it would have been an hour. I went down there and just started asking her questions. I go, look, you're gonna get weird. I'm just gonna keep asking you questions, just answer them, and then eventually I'll stop. So then halfway through, I was like, okay, we're gonna be able to do the podcast. But then I realized it took an hour for her to put her wall down. So I was like, dude, that would have been an hour. I mean, how many people have we came on that, like, they didn't start opening up till an hour and 45 in? Even when we did Bill, we were at like the 2 hour mark, and he was just like, just started opening up, and I was like, fuck, like, this is so long.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, I think it's important that people reach out more and like talk to people more. Like what you said, your number's on there. You should be more interested than what's on social media, because it's half of what the person is.
Right. If that. And that's if they're good at it.
Yeah.
So
If we don't stop now, we're just going to keep going.
Yeah,
I want to give you I want to give you a chance to plug all of your social media in any way that they could find balloons.
Okay,
Say it weirder. Fat tongue after a couple yiggles.
Yeah, where do you find that balloon?
what was it?
No, that's how they pronounce it.
Yeah, right.
They're unique.
The letters are silent except for the B, N, and the S. Okay, so the easiest one is just the website, www.balloonsus.co, BALLOONS. That seems to be a tough one to spell for some people. The Instagram is balloons.us. Truthfully, I don't remember the Twitter off the top of my head, but those are the main ones. You can find all of our social medias linked through the website.
Yep.
And then the Instagram is also on one of the pages. It has our mission, which take some time to read that if you're listening. It's important to us. And then it actually has the Instagram feed kind of listed right through the website built into it. And then you can kind of go through the Instagram right there, which is, I would say, our primary tool besides Facebook for sharing stuff. But yeah, man, like, thank you so much for having me out here.
Of course.
It's a cool thing. It really is. This stuff's cool.
I like a lot of the stuff that you're doing as well. I knew it was going to mesh together. So I was excited for this podcast. And anytime I get to talk to people about creating clothing, it super hits home. Yeah. And I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, man.
And that's it. Be safe, drive safe, God bless. I think I ended the show not too awkward.
No, it's awkward.
Yeah. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no problem. I have to piss.
Go piss. You could have pissed. You could have just stopped and said,
no, I didn't want to cut it in the middle.